వాళ్ళు అప్పుడు అడుగుతా ఉన్నారండి తెలంగాణ హైకోర్టు అని మాట్లాడదామంటే మన దగ్గర నుంచి వాయిస్ లేదు. అదే కదా.
గుడ్ మార్నింగ్ టు ఆల్.
అది పెట్టిండేది మళ్ళీ ఇప్పుడు వాయిస్ మనకి కంప్యూటర్ వాయిస్ సరిగ్గా పడలేదు.
Good morning, everybody.
Namaste, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning, everybody.
Fine.
Morning.
Fine. Nice to see all of you.
Morning. Morning, sir.
Morning. Good to
Justice
see everyone.
Amanullah. Justice Amanullah, how are you?
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Fine, sir.
Kindly,
Fine.
it is requested
Huh?
that everybody please
Good
mute
to
your
see
mics.
everybody.
Kindly
Good
mute
to
your
see
mics.
everybody.
Good morning, everyone. I welcome on behalf of Honorable Justice Ravindra Bhatt, Judge Supreme Court of India and Chairperson Juvenile Justice Committee, Supreme Court of India, all the chairpersons of High Court, Juvenile Justice Committees, members of JJC, Secretary in Ministry of Women and Child Development, Government of India, Shri Ram Mohan Mishra ji, Principal Secretaries and representatives from state governments, Ms. Soledad Herrero, Chief Child Protection UNICEF, and other representatives of UNICEF in this concluding day of two-day conference of JJC committees. In the second day of this two-day conference today, we will be having presentations from 5 high courts. In the first session, high courts of Karnataka, Gujarat and Calcutta will be making presentations on access to sponsorship and social protection schemes to children in family-based alternative care. In the second session, High Court of Rajasthan, High Court of Delhi will make presentation on outstanding challenges and actions needed. To begin with, first we are showing a video clip of young boys and girls in Gujarat talking about how COVID-19 has impacted them.
પહેલા હું ચિલ્ડ્રનમાં રહેતો હતો પછી મારા પપ્પા ગુજરી ગયા એટલે અમને મમ્મી વગર નહોતું ખાવતું એટલે મારા મમ્મીએ અમને ચિલ્ડ્રન અમને ઘેર લાવી પછી અમને અને સરકારને 3,000 આપ્યા એટલે મારા મમ્મી અમને ઘેર રાખતો હતી.
આવા બાળકો નિયમિત અભ્યાસ કરે છે કે કેમ તેની નિયમિત તપાસ પણ તંત્ર દ્વારા સમયાંતરે કરે છે જેથી બાળકનું ભાવિ સુરક્ષિત બને.
પહેલા અમે ચિલ્ડ્રનમાં રહેતા હતા. બાપાને ગુજરવાના કારણે માએ ત્યાં મમ્મીને મેળ્યા હતા. સરકારના કારણે અમે 3,000 રૂપિયા મળવા ગયા. તેથી કારણે અમે માના પાસે લીધા ઘરે. તેથી અમને માને પાસે બહુ ખૂબ જ મજા આવે છે અને અમને સારું ભણવાનું પણ થાય છે.
આ અત્યંત સામાન્ય ઘરમાં રહેતી મહિલાનું નામ કાંતાબેન છે. આજથી 5 વર્ષ પહેલા પતિનું અકાળે અવસાન થતા હૃદય પર પથ્થર રાખી માતાએ બાળકોને બાળ સંરક્ષણ ગૃહમાં મોકલ્યા. કોરોના કાળમાં સરકારી દિશા નિર્દેશો મુજબ કાંતાબેનના બંને બાળકોને પણ અન્ય બાળકોની જેમ પરિવારમાં મોકલવામાં આવ્યા. રાજ્ય સરકારે વિભાગ ખર્ચ પેટે રૂપિયા 1,500 અને રાશન કીટ આપી. આજે કાંતાબેન જેવા અનેક વાલીઓને પોતાના બાળકો પુનઃપ્રાપ્ત થતા તેમની ખુશીનો પાર નથી.
હું 17 વર્ષનો હતો ત્યારે 11મું ધોરણ પૂરું કર્યું હતું અને મમ્મી પપ્પાનું એક્સિડન્ટના લીધે અવસાન થયું હતું 15 દિવસના કાળમાં. મારું સપનું હતું કે ડૉક્ટર બનવું, તો હવે મમ્મી પપ્પાના અવસાન લીધે ડૉક્ટર બનવું તો હવે કેવી રીતે? પૈસાનો પણ પ્રશ્ન હતો. પાલનપુર બાળ સુરક્ષા અધિકારી હતા, તેમની જાણ દ્વારા મને આ પાલક માતા પિતા જે યોજના છે એની વિશે જાણ પડી. તો પછી મેં કાકાની મદદ લીધી અને ત્યાં ફોર્મ ભર્યું પાલક માતા પિતા યોજના માટે. જે યોજનાના અંતર્ગત મને દર મહિને લગભગ 3000 રૂપિયા મળતા હતા. હવે હું BMS જુનાગઢ કોલેજમાં અભ્યાસ કરું છું.
એ બાબત બાળકો કે જેમના માતા પિતા નથી અને કોઈક પરિવારના વાલી એની જવાબદારી ઉઠાવી રહ્યા છે, આવા બાળકોને પાલક માતા પિતા યોજના થકી પ્રતિ માસ 3000 રૂપિયાની સહાય કરવામાં આવે છે. અને આ બાળક 18 વર્ષનું થાય અને શિક્ષણ પ્રાપ્ત કરે ત્યાં સુધી આ સહાય સરકાર તરફથી પ્રતિ માસ કરવામાં આવે છે. અને સમગ્ર જિલ્લામાં અત્યારે લગભગ 1400 ઉપરાંત બાળકો આ પાલક માતા પિતા યોજનાથી લાભાન્વિત થઈ રહ્યા છે.
Thank you. And now, may I request Honorable Ms. Justice B.V. Nagarathna, Judge and Chairperson, Juvenile Justice Committee, High Court of Karnataka, to kindly make the presentation on behalf of the High Court and State Government.
A very good morning to everybody. Honorable Mr. Justice Ravindra Bhatt, Judge, Supreme Court of India, and Chairperson of the Juvenile Justice Committee, Supreme Court, my esteemed brother and sister judges from all high courts across the country, Sri Ram Mohan Mishra, Secretary, Department of Women and Child, Government of India, all secretaries and officers from the departments from various states, Ms. Solana Teroro, Chief Child Protection of the UNICEF in India, representatives of the UNICEF in India, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I must thank His Lordship Justice Ravindra Bhatt for initiating this dialogue during this raging pandemic. And I thank him for giving High Court of Karnataka, the Juvenile Justice Committee, for making a presentation today. I would be only sharing a few of my thoughts, and the main presentation would be made by Ms. Pallavi Akriti, IAS, who is the Director of ICPS, Government of Karnataka. I think that the focus of this conference is basically with regard to the COVID-19 and its impact, particularly on children. Now, we all know that the Supreme Court has issued directions right at the beginning of when the pandemic was started and announced, declared, and the consequent lockdown, and has been continuously issuing directions, which is a beacon for all of us to follow in order to bring about a uniformity in the policies to be adopted and implemented throughout the country. Now, a few of my thoughts on this is, we all know that as a result of the pandemic and the consequent lockdown, the main thing which got disrupted for the common man in India is work. And as a result of the disruption of work, there has been no income, and consequently this has resulted not only in several adverse impact on the economy and the family, but particularly on the children. Therefore, in this context, I would like to highlight that as a result of this, the children have suffered the most, not only because of the fact that there is lack of food and financial stringency in the family, but on account of the closure of schools, there has been no education at all as such, except through the use of technology wherever it has been possible. The second impact of this is the increase in child marriages which has taken place since the children are at home, and particularly the girl child being at home. The marriage has been one of the only remedies that has been thought out in certain families so that there is an increase in child marriages. And thirdly, on account of this pandemic, and due to the problem of migration, in Karnataka there has been an increase in surrender of children and what we call the increase in the number of children with regard to the Mamateya Tottilu program, which is called, simply put, called as cradle scheme. And a lot of families on account of extreme poverty have been surrendering children on account of not being able to look after them. And as a result, there is an acceleration in the adoption process, and therefore steps have been taken in that regard. So therefore, while our topic is on access to sponsorship, social protection and social welfare schemes for rehabilitation and restoration and deinstitutionalization, which will be highlighted by Ms. Pallavi Akriti, I would like to only highlight with regard to the challenges to mental health and as to how NIMANS, which is in Bengaluru, has helped in this regard. I may only highlight 2-3 aspects on that. With regard to mental health, there is what is called child and adolescent psychiatry, which has been following it up by tele-follow-up under a CAP program, and the contact numbers are there. Then there is what is known as interactive voice response system, by which it is called IVRS follow-up. NIMANS has taken up this initiative. Then there is a child helpline with regard to the children. And secondly, on the suggestion made by the Juvenile Justice Committee of the High Court, Dr. Shekhar Sheshadri and his team of NIMANS were able to have another exclusive child helpline which would cater to the children, especially in Karnataka. And the other aspect is with regard to the various directions issued by the Honorable Supreme Court, and which we have which has resulted in various orders being issued by the state government. And in that regard, I would like to only highlight on the Vidyagama program of the state of Karnataka, where there have been officers appointed for ensuring that there is no disruption in education. And the students have been classified into 3 groups, namely those students who have the mobile facility, those students who have the mobile and internet facility, and those who do not have the internet facility. And the state government is ensuring that there is no disruption in education. And if I may be permitted to say, sir, that there are several challenges with regard to the implementation of the child program in the state of Karnataka. So I would like to make use of this platform to make a few suggestions to the Secretary Government of India, and if I may be permitted by His Lordship, we could send it through to the Juvenile Justice Committee of the Supreme Court, which could also consider it and maybe to impress upon the Government of India to see that the child protection program is effectively implemented. So therefore, with the short preface, I now hand over the baton to Ms. Pallavi Akriti to make the presentation on the topic. Thank you.
I express my sincere respects to all the honorable justices and dignitaries present in this meeting. So in the first slide, we have shown the various child protection organization units functioning in Karnataka. We have total registered 20 institutions, 987. And the first topic given to us is analysis of the access to sponsorship, social protection, and social welfare schemes for rehabilitation, restoration, and institutionalization. In this slide, we have shown the preventive interventions and the supportive interventions separately. Coming to the preventive interventions, the first is sponsorship. It is the part of the regular ICPS GOI scheme, which is being implemented in Karnataka from 2006. Children of single mother, leprosy patients, and children whose parents are in jail, they receive 1,000 rupees per month per child under this scheme. And 1920, they supported 2,078 children under this, and we kept 3 crores budget for the 2021 financial year. Visesha Palana Yojana is a unique government of Karnataka sponsorship scheme. Under this, children who are HIV affected and infected children get 1,000 rupees per month per child through RTGS, and we kept 15 crores budget for this 2021 year, and we are supporting 60,749 children under the scheme. The adoption and foster care in Karnataka, I'm glad to share that Karnataka took second place in adoption and placements for the 4th consecutive year. And I would like to highlight that because of the economic distress during the COVID lockdown, there were more number of abandonments and surrenders, and we rescued around 100 children across the state during the lockdown period alone. Sara Asra is a series of episodes broadcasted to all India radio exclusively on adoption-related issues. Karnataka is giving special focus on the increased adoption for the opportunities of Divyanga and older children. We are developing a pool of mental health professionals to give focused responsibility to the older children and the PAPs of the older children. Karnataka has launched an innovative program called Roots, the rehabilitation of orphaned, abandoned, surrendered children, trauma and special needs, to implement hybrid approach to address the physical and social and psychosocial requirements of these Divyang children to increase their adoption opportunities and rehabilitation. Regarding the foster care, we have given a lot of newspaper advertisements to identify the foster families, and steps were taken to broadcast series of episodes exclusively on the foster care to ensure children's right to family care through all India radio. Mamata Katilu, as Madam has already explained, is a unique program of Scrabble scheme to ensure safe surrender of the children, and we placed across Karnataka 185 such Scrabbles. And we also have intervention by Childline. Childline, this is across the country. Childline is working in Karnataka. They are doing prevention of institutionalization through two types. One is by receiving the calls from the children who are in distress, and also from the adults who are aware of the children in distress. In 1920, total intervention costs attended by the children is 14,000, and in April to September, they received 4,700 calls from children. And the next is Childline also does the follow-up calls of the children who are rescued by the Childline to ensure that they will not fall back to danger and distress and that they are continuing to stay happy with their families. The case intervention follow-up done in October 19 to March 20 is 5,200 calls, and during the lockdown until September 2020, more than 2,800 calls have been done. Makkala Grama Sabha of children is an effective tool to ensure access of vulnerable children to social protection schemes. And in Karnataka during 1920, around 4,31,000 children attended these Makkala Grama Sabhas, which were conducted at around 3,700 Gram Panchayats. Then coming to supportive initiatives, Aftercare is one of the effective supportive initiatives, and in Karnataka this current financial year, we started a scheme called Upkar. Upkar ensures to provide financial support of 5,000 per month per child up to a maximum of 3 years. That means the child leaves the CCA after 18 years. So till 21 years they can avail this scheme, or till they become economically independent, whichever is earlier. As an initial budget, we kept 1 crore for this 2021 financial year. Skill development, Directorate of Child Protection in Karnataka, in collaboration with the Skill Development Department, is imparting skills to the children in the age group of 14 to 18 years. And for this, we are preferring to conduct visual hall tests because we want to give only that skill to the child which is opted by themselves. In the financial year 2021, we conducted visual hall tests to 534 children, and children are going to the skill development chosen by themselves. Deinstitutionalization during COVID-19 as per Honorable Supreme Court's direction and repetition 4/2020. The number of children at the end of February 2020 around 34,500 across 984 CCIs in Karnataka. And as you can see, in October 2020, the strength is 7,400. So this is because of effective implementation of the orders by the CWCs and JJBs. I have given the split of the CICL, children in conflict with law, separately, as you can see. From February, there were 97, and July, we have only 48 children in the CICL category. Support given to the deinstitutionalized children, financial support of rupees 1,500 per month per child was given from April 2020 to August 2020, and we are planning to continue this. During COVID lockdown times and after the lockdown also, the district child protection units, in collaboration with the district administration, especially midday meals program and Anganwadis, we supplied radiation kits and COVID-19 prevention materials to the children who went back to homes from CCIs. The follow-up of children sent to home during COVID-19 from CCIs was rigorously done by making telephone and video calls at least twice a week, and dedicated registers were being maintained for this purpose in all child care institutions and district child protection units. We launched a special program called Nanu Samartha in collaboration with UNICEF and an NGO called Enfold to provide online certificate course of 40 hours to give life skills to the children in conflict with law who went back to homes from the CCIs. It provides conflict resolution talents, orientation on substance abuse prevention, basic financial literacy. It puts on digital safety, awareness about available schemes and training opportunities. As a pilot, 12 CSL children received certificate already, and we are extending this to other children who went back home also. The second topic given to us is identification of priorities and next steps to ensure vulnerable families have access to sponsorship and social protection schemes. So these are the priorities that we have identified. I will explain further. The first is identification of vulnerable families. During COVID-19 pandemic, Children, in association with Anganwadi workers and PD was Panchayat development officers, identified vulnerable families, especially migrant families. We attended a total of 3,500 migrant families and 2,584 migrant children in collaboration with district administration and provided drenation and COVID prevention materials. UNICEF also conducted a study to identify vulnerable families in 8 districts of Karnataka using a dedicated format for this purpose. To systematize this identification of vulnerable families, we are proposing to start a dedicated cell in Directorate of Child Protection to collect the vulnerable family details from DCPUs, and DCPUs will be given special training for this, and the collected data will be given to the concerned departments for necessary follow-up, for necessary needful from their departments, and Directorate of Child Protection will do the follow-up with all the concerned departments who have received the details of the vulnerable families. Now, steps to ensure social protection of the children of vulnerable families. Children Tangudama is a British school program under the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan that ensures to take the children who are out of school, especially the child laborers, rag pickers, and children of migrant workers, to come to the mainstream education. This we are proposing to implement in a larger way and developing a good mechanism to utilize the Child Labour Welfare Corpus Fund and the construction of the Welfare Fund. Prompt issuing of child labour release certificate by the deputy commissioners and special provision for children of Devadasis in Kasturaga and the schools is proposed. Ensuring identity documents like Aadhaar, ration cards, etc. is essential to ensure access of this social protection to vulnerable families. And Karnataka is initiating a single window cell to enable convergence between the legal service authority, child and civil society organizations, and even independent lawyers who are willing to provide pro bono services so as to attain the challenges in getting these identity cards so that the families can get social protection benefits. We are also conducting a huge IEC, Information, Education and Communication of the Social Protection Schemes, especially to focus on that every DCPU, CWC, JJB have a list of government schemes with eligible criteria and procedures for application. Introducing universal sponsorship scheme is another important thing. To do justice to the topic given to us, we studied best practices and not only we are expressing not only the Karnataka best practices but also we studied other states on this topic, and we observed that Rajasthan is having Palanhar scheme, which is a universal sponsorship scheme, and presently in this financial year 4.41 lakh children of Rajasthan are getting benefited, and they kept a 450 crores budget for this 2021 year. So we request Government of India to start similar scheme in the entire country so that huge number of children in need of care and protection get home care and family care. Ensuring social protection of the families of children in need of care and protection and children in conflict with law. For this, we are empowering CWCs and JJBs to pass more appropriate orders that will ensure children benefit from sponsorship and social protection schemes. We also request Government of India to enhance the quantum of funds available for sponsorship and give more flexibility to states so that states can give more funds to those districts where there is more requirement. We also developed formats dedicated for collecting details of education access, social security and welfare scheme access, the details of identity cards, and number of children benefited and direct cash benefits. It is planned to collect information from these formats periodically so that access to social protection welfare schemes can be assessed on a regular basis. Education supporting schemes in Karnataka, we would like to highlight that the Government of Karnataka has ordered to provide 1% reservation for children of former Devadasis in graduation and post-graduation. Also, there is an order to provide special quota to the children coming from Odanadi, an institution working for the rescue and rehabilitation of sexually exploited women and children. Also, these students have been considered as OBC and are getting 50% concession in all the approved courses. Introducing orphan and vulnerable child certificates and providing reservation to the children in education and jobs. As I already mentioned, we observed some of the best practices in other states as well. And in Telangana, they have declared orphans as socially and educationally backward community and included them in backward class A group. Karnataka is exploring to implement such similar schemes. I would like to highlight the study conducted in collaboration with Standard Study Solid's improvement program of the mandatory documents preparation and maintenance by DCPUs and CCIs. So this intervention by the UNICEF and Karnataka helped CWCs and JJBs to pass more appropriate orders resulting in prevention of institutionalization and deinstitutionalization of the children. As you can see, 1795 children were deinstitutionalized and 2,888 children got prevented institutionalization. Because of this intervention, between 2018 and 2020, 54% children referred to CWCs were restored to the families. Now, I would like to submit the good practices during COVID-19 for Karnataka, observed by the Honorable Supreme Court of India as part of petition number 4 of 2020. Education of children given to CCIs during COVID-19. We appointed part-time teachers to teach English, science and maths in our working days morning tours and evening tours. We also made CCA children to watch the TV classes started by the Education Department of Karnataka. Welfare of temporary restored children to COVID-19. As already mentioned, we provided 1,500 rupees per month per child during the COVID-19 who went back to families around CCIs. As already mentioned by our Honorable Justice Madam Vidyagama is a program that has been designed to cater to the needs of different children who have access to internet, who don't have access to internet, who don't even have a mobile phone. And we appointed state level and district level nodal officers to ensure that this education department scheme gives benefit to all the children who went back to homes from our CCIs. And October 2020, around 5,400 children who went back to families and CCIs got access to educational classes through this Vidyagama scheme. Continuing COVID-19 prevention, other important initiatives, we appointed an educated officer for daily monitoring of COVID status in all the CCIs, and we prepared a list of standby arrangements for all the staff like AYAs, cooks, etc. in the CCIs. We designated separate fit facilities as quarantine facility for the rehabilitation of the newly rescued children, so that they are not admitted into the existing CCIs, so that there is no spread of the COVID-19. State has considered vacant CCIs, social welfare hostels, education department hostels, etc. for these facilities as well as facilities. Also, we provided emergency fund of 1 lakh rupees per district to meet the COVID emergency expenditure. The other good practices in Karnataka include we tied up with one NGO called Makkala Jagrati, which provides exclusively curricular and extracurricular activities exclusively for the childcare institutions in 4 different age groups: 3 to 6 years, 1st to 4th standard, 5th to 7th standard, and 8th to 10th standard. So these are exclusively prepared for the CCA children, and we supply these timetable on a weekly basis, and they have the daily activities for both curricular and extracurricular. Also, we started counseling and awareness sessions during the lockdown itself, and we conducted regular and frequent COVID-19 related counseling and awareness sessions to children in CCIs, and monitoring regular remediation and availability of COVID-19 prevention materials across 994 CCIs in Karnataka. And we monitored these activities by collecting the weekly statistics, and exclusively in the period of lockdown itself, there were around 1,800 awareness sessions, 1,500 medical checkups, 2,500 counseling sessions, and around 1,500 remediations done across the CCIs only during the COVID lockdown period I am talking. Next, we also started a toll-free telecounseling number 14499 in collaboration with UNICEF and NIMHANS, and we trained 147 counselors across the state to whom the calls received in these free telecounseling center will be connected. We also developed a Tarini web portal for daily monitoring of COVID-related data of around 1,000 CCIs in Karnataka. We developed adoption checklists and undertakings for the PAPs to ensure hassle-free adoptions. Throughout pandemic situation, there is wonderful coordination between civil society organizations and government of Karnataka. We developed a model directory which is filled and maintained by all the CCIs and DCPUs across the Karnataka. We also developed an exclusive health SOP or health advisory for all the childcare institutions to tackle the COVID-19 situation from the health department of government of Karnataka. We also got appointed a state level nodal officer from the health department exclusively for the CCIs to prevent COVID-19 and to tackle COVID-19 situation. We conducted frequent capacity building for all the ICPS stakeholders on COVID-19 through health department of GOK, NIMHANS and UNICEF. Among these, how to live with COVID-19 training was widely successful and it was widely received. ICPS Karnataka has also started a YouTube channel to upload all important training sessions. The real-time monitoring was achieved through various WhatsApp groups. We also conducted a series of online competitions on online safety, child behavior, and child trafficking, and we received more than 1,000 plus entries. We did this in collaboration with the education department so that there is wide participation of the children. We also taken steps to broadcast series of episodes exclusively on online safety because online safety became highly important for the children during this COVID situation. So we are conducting a series of episodes broadcasting on AI online safety. Now we have some recommendations to submit to the government of India, and I thank our Justice Madam for giving this opportunity to submit these recommendations. The first thing is Section 54 of the JAI Act mandates that district inspection committees shall conduct inspections every quarter of all the childcare institutions in their jurisdiction. However, there is no funding by the ICPS, so I request that ICPS must provide funding for the district inspection committees so that Section 54 is implemented more effectively. Also, the present situation is ICPS personnel, more than 90% of them are outsourced people. So we request that at least 50% of the ICPS personnel should be made government personnel. And one more important thing is ICPS has no presence below the district level. So it becomes essential that village panchayat child protection facilitators and taluk panchayat child protection facilitators must be provided to ICPS scheme so that all child protection schemes can be taken to the grassroots level. The number of district child protection units and district inspection committees. Presently, there is only one DCPO and one DIC in all the metros. But for a huge population and vast area in a metro like Bengaluru or any other metro, one DCPO just with 11 staff, including one government officer and one DIC, cannot fulfill the mandated responsibilities. So it is requested that the DCPOs and DICs numbers should be increased on par with the respective police subdivisions or respective ICDS project units in all the metros. We also request that presently the staff of institutions, the staff of CCIs and the staff of DCPUs are performing both the responsibilities of the CCIs and the district child protection units, and they are also attending child welfare committees and JJB responsibilities. However, considering the fact that DCPUs and JJBs have to deliver statutorily mandated responsibility, it is requested that dedicated staff be provided to CWCs and JJBs. I would like to share some of the photographs. This is the visual highlight testing conducted in our CCX. This is the distribution of dry ration to children who went back to homes and CCIs. This is some of the preventive measures we are taking in our CCIs. These are the handicrafts created at the CCI children during the lockdown period. These are the activities conducted to the children in CCIs. And I would like to submit that we made it mandatory that the procurement of projector and screen is compulsory in all the CCIs because now everything is happening through online. So children should get access to a bigger screen, so mandated purchasing of projectors compulsory in all the CCIs. So this is how children do yoga. So I thank everybody for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Justice Nagaratna and your team. You have given a lot of ideas which we can take away, and I think your request that we must look at schemes like the Palanahar of the Rajasthan for universal sponsorship scheme, and single window for Aadhaar, and the Makkala Grama Sabha which you mentioned, yes, plus 2 or 3 other innovative ideas are worth looking and examining it closely. I also noticed that initially we had that film clip which talked about the Palak Mata Pita Yojana of Gujarat. So now we have Gujarat lined up in the next as the next participant. I would request. Yes, yes, Justice Bella Trivedi from Gujarat to make the presentation. Justice Trivedi, you're welcome to take the floor.
Thanks, sir. Thanks very much, sir. Namaskaram and good morning, everybody.
Justice Trivedi, just one request. If you could elaborate on this Palak Mata Pita Yojana also later, because your scheme, the initial clip of UNICEF also mentioned about it. So at the end of this presentation, if you could briefly say what that is and how it is. It's been there from 1978. Maybe you could share a few experiences with that.
Yes, sir. First of all, I would like to thank Honorable Mr. Justice S. Ravindran Bhatt for giving this opportunity to express our views on this virtual platform on a very important subject. So, very good morning to all of you. I have with me in the, of course, my esteemed colleague and Justice Vaishnav. Another colleague and member of the committee is again down with the fever and COVID. So COVID has not spared anybody and she is not able to join. On the government side, Mr. Manoj Agrawal, Additional Chief Secretary, who is in charge of Social Justice and Empowerment Department, along with his team is there. Sir, as such, he would be making detailed presentation, and I would be focusing only to a limited issues and initiatives which have been undertaken by the government on PPP model. PPP model is public-private partnership, as we all know. As such, the primary and parental responsibility or duty to ensure the welfare of the children and to protect the rights of the children is on the state government. However, our government, and more particularly the Social Justice and Empowerment Department, believes that other sectors also play a very important role, and therefore this PPP model, which they have developed, is very much in vogue in Gujarat and very successfully been performed. So one of such initiatives is Samaj Suraksha Sankul, which is situated at Vadodara. The government in SJED, the Social Justice and Empowerment Department, with a view to bring various welfare institutions run by it under one roof for their holistic management and community living, has entered into an MOU with CSR, the Corporate Social Responsibility wing of LMB, a very known company in Vadodara, and with Deepak Foundation, who are responsible for managing all childcare institutions in the Sankul and provide them physical amenities and quality services. So there are many childcare institutions situated in the Sankul, that is complex, and all are being managed under one canopy, one roof by the Deepak Foundation, who is responsible for providing all amenities and other quality services. The role of SCED is to reimburse the recurring cost and to provide them guidelines and updates, and of course take review reports from them regarding the progress. This Sankul has many institutions for visually impaired children, physically challenged children, the children home for boys, and aftercare home. For visually impaired children, the Sankul has residential school and resource center, which provides residential facility, education, and skill training to such children. Inclusive education programs are being conducted, whereby the visually impaired children receive education in regular school settings for their social inclusion. The Sankul also provides residential facilities to the physically challenged boys who take education outside the Sankul. A residential facility is provided to children in need of care and protection, so that the rehabilitation of such children in the society is ensured. Sankul also provides facilities for boys above 18 years with various opportunities for their skill building and career guidance. The vocational training training services are also being provided in the Sankul, with a view to see that the children with special needs become self-reliant after the age of 18 years. They are enrolled in various courses for like computer training, home health aid, housekeeping, etc. This Sankul also has early intervention center for children with special needs between the age 0 to 6 years for increasing their visual functioning, sensory awareness, communication, and social skill. The whole object of this idea of PPP model, and more particularly this Samaj Suraksha Sankul, is to provide and nurture all children with or without special needs a safe and supportive environment through education, therapeutic interventions, and family support services rather. Such other initiatives on PPP model have also been taken by the government, in more particularly SJED, and they are partnership with SOS Children Village to promote aftercare services in various districts, partnership with GNLU, Gujarat National Law University, to carry out research and documentation on issues related to child protection, in partnership with UNICEF and Samvedna Trust A pilot project of demonstrable model on family-based care has also been initiated. The partnership with Miracle Foundation for strengthening the capacity building of various CCIs, DPUs, CWCs, JGBs have also been entered into for deinstitutionalization and integration of children with suitable family replacement. My short address on this issue is to bring to the notice of this August gathering the various initiatives taken by the government of Gujarat on PPP model. I don't say that it is something very unique, but it is uncommon, and probably that should be followed by the other state governments, because by floating such projects and schemes, the other corporate sectors and academic institutions also should bear some responsibility for the protection of children. So, of course, other state governments have their own schemes and projects which are state-specific, but still, the one should not be content or complacent with what they have. And of course, the common grievance is to what we have just yesterday also we had that discussion, that there is lack of coordination amongst the government departments. There are many various forums, platforms, the other authorities which are created under various acts for the protection of children. However, there is lack of coordination, as a result of which there is no proper monitoring, there is duplication of work, and probably wastage of time and energy of many other institutions. So I pose a question to myself, that why, with the advent of technology, all the departments cannot be linked together so that there is automatic transmission of data and activities of one department to the other. When the government is undertaking projects to connect the roads and rivers from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, I think this is not a very big deal for government to connect the departments, concerned departments, so that the whole activities could be effectively carried out. With this note, I would request Mr. Manoj Agrawal, Additional Chief Secretary, to make his presentation on the rest of the topics, including the scheme of Palak Mata Pita.
Good morning. Honorable Supreme Court Justice Shri Ravindra Bhatt, Honorable Judges of the various JJ committees, Honorable Secretary to Government of India Shri Mishra Sir, all secretaries, commissioners, directors, and dignitaries. Already the Justice Bela Trivedi, Chairperson JJ Committee, High Court of Gujarat, has set the ball rolling. But as Honorable Justice Ravindra Bhatt sir just requested and asked regarding this Palak Mata Pita scheme, so I'll just like to throw some light on that. This scheme in Gujarat is going on since 1978, and it has worked as a gatekeeping scheme, because a large number of children who would have otherwise ended up in the child care institutes have ultimately got the benefits of this scheme. This scheme is covering, the criteria is that all the orphan children whose parents have died, and they are from 0 to 18 years. And another scenario is where the father has died and the mother has remarried. So the financial assistance, which started from rupees 75 in 1978, is at present rupees 3,000 per child per month. The budget for the government of Gujarat this year, is approximately 65 crores, and the total number of children which we are covering at present is 16,521 children. This allows the children to grow in a family, because generally the next of kin who are related, say for example the brother of the father or sister of the father, or the parents of the father or mother, and similarly other next of kin, they can take care of the child, and rupees 3,000 are provided to take care of various expenses, and it has to be ensured that the child continuously receives education, and he or she does not drop out from the school. So this scheme, as mentioned, is available in the rural area as well as the urban area, and has worked as a gatekeeping scheme. And this is also in a way ensuring that the child stays with his loved ones, and he grows psychologically as well as physically, and he is capable enough even after the age of 18. His skills are, he is given the training also, and ultimately there is a overall benefit to the child and the society. So a strong monitoring system has also been developed for the same. The child welfare committees, district child protection units, and other authorities regularly, they visit these children, and the reports are generated, as well as we have roped in various schools in the Gujarat, and more so the primary schools, where our DCPO teams, they go, and every year the the resource centers at the block level and the cluster level, the teachers, when they are getting their training programs, are also taught about this scheme, so that whenever a child comes there and the teacher find that this child is requires to be thinking of this scheme, so then that is given. So all in all, this scheme is working very well in Gujarat, and the government has all the intentions of strengthening it. The last increment given was in the year 2018-19, where the amount was increased from rupees 1,000 to 3,000. Since then, almost 10,000 children have been added, and we are expecting more children will be added next year, this year and next year. So this is about the Palak Mata Pita scheme, sir. Next. Sir, there are other policy measures also where we have tried to improve, because we know the government of India has got some limitation. They are catering to the whole country, and the state governments can always add to that funding, to that sum, to that amount. For sponsorship, we have included we have made a provision of rupees 3,000 per child per month, and as per the government of India scheme, it is 2,000 rupees. So we have further increased it to rupees 3,000. For aftercare, again we have increased from rupees 2,000 to 6,000 per month per child. So this is we can give to a child from the age of 18 years to 21 years, and this can also be utilized for group foster care. This amount can be utilized for group foster care, and we have already entered in an MOU for 12 districts with one of the non-government organization, that is the SOS Village. So another very important scheme which has been introduced recently is the foster care. Already Government of India scheme existed, but we have tried to add some more funding to it, and we have taken the amount to rupees 6,000 per child per month. So we are expecting, the budget kept for this year is rupees 3.60 crores, and we are expecting that more and more children will be able to take benefit of this. For that, we'll be repeatedly, we are already putting the advertisements, etc. We are giving the we are publicizing the scheme at every possible forum, so that number of children who can avail this scheme. So these schemes are working as gatekeeping schemes, and at times we are using them as for the purpose of deinstitutionalization also. So this table, this slide shows regarding sponsorship and foster care. So sponsorship, already we have got 998 children under this scheme, out of which 567 are those children who were restored their families during COVID-19, and our committees visited these houses, and their families got convinced, and now they are utilizing this scheme, and rupees 3,000 per child per month, and these families have decided to keep the children with them. So again, this is a institutionalization which we are uh, managing in Gujarat. So this is the child care institutions position in Gujarat. There are 134 such institutes, and during the Corona, 3,033 children have been moved out, and only 1150 children have remained in these institutes. So these children who are in the institutes, they are being taken care of in all aspects, including their education and corona related issues, their counseling for the mental health, etc. And afterward, 218 have also come back due to various reasons, and we have accepted them in the child care institutes. So this slide shows that the restoration of children who come due to various reasons, maybe trafficking, etc., from other states, and are found on either railway platforms or bus stations or other places, public places. So in 2019-20, 675 such children were rehabilitated to their respective families in their original states. This year already for 113 children we have done this. And from other states also we have brought back 31 children last year and 51 children during this year. Already, sir, I have talked a bit about the rehabilitation of the children. Now, as mentioned earlier, 2160 children were sent to their homes during the lockdown, and the financial assistance to the tune of rupees 1,500 per child was provided, and children in conflict with law, 243, they have also been restored to their parents as per the guidelines of the Honorable Supreme Court, and during various judgments. Sir, I'll also like to mention that there are another 8,188 children who have been given the financial assistance to the tune of 1.22 crores, and these children are living in various granting aid institutions, and many of them are physically challenged. Another very important thing which we are doing in state of Gujarat, and as per the directions of Honorable Supreme Court, we have already taken different steps as required by the judgments, as required by the Government of India directions. We have issued the circulars, GRs, government resolutions and notifications, and have guided to juvenile justice boards, children welfare committees, social juvenile police units, subdivisional offices, etc., and child care institutes, of course. So we are taking all the precautions that COVID does not spread in these child care institutes. Next. Sir, as I have mentioned that various directions given by Honorable Supreme Court judgments during the Corona-19 case have been followed to the hilt, and we are ensuring that no undue incidents takes place in these child care institutes. So education is one big concern for all of us, and we are ensuring that those who stay back in child care institutes or who are with their families at present due to Corona-19, they all continuously get the education which is provided to other children who are in the primary schools. So that include primary or secondary schools. So that is done through our Bhaskaracharya Institute of Satellite and Geometrics, which is a national institute, through television channels such as Doordarshan Girnar. And also we have provided books and stationery and materials to all the children in childcare institutes, as well as to the children who are staying with their family. The arrangement made by the education department is that the teachers will be visiting these child care institutes, giving them some work, homework, and assessing their education, assessing their what is going on, teaching, and then collecting the homework also. So whatever is being followed for the children in normal schools is being done for the children in child care institutes, as well as those who are staying with their families in the urban or rural areas. So their education we are trying to take care of, which is very necessary, of course. Next. Sir, another very important thing is that capacity building. Capacity building of, first of all, those functionaries who are involved with the child protection. This has been taken in a big way. We have tried to take it in a big way. And first we tried to ensure that all the topics which will be dealt by these child protection functionaries are collected, which includes Juvenile Justice Act, POXO, child marriage, child labor, child rights, safe unsafe touch, disaster management, child begging. So all these things were included in the various modules, and they were taught. They were given sort of capacity building programs were run through BISAC, through face-to-face training. And in 2019-20, we covered such 44,000 participants, more than that. And this year also, through webinars and through video conferences, etc., we have been able to hold 47 such programs and given a training of 19,000 odd participants. Because this is something which we have to do repeatedly. We are getting new guidelines. We are getting new directions from Supreme Court, from Government of India, from Women and Child Ministry, Government of India. So continuously keep on giving these and training regarding those directions to our functionaries. Similarly, sir, in Gujarat, we took awareness generation programs at district, block, and village level. And campaigns mode was adopted. And in 2019-20, 1698 such awareness programs at the village, at the taluka, district, and urban level were held. And a total of 5,93,000 the stakeholders, which includes the primary education officials, health teams, labor teams, panchayat team, nagarpalika teams, railways, state transports, etc. So that all of them know about various changes which are coming very fast, very quickly, regarding the juvenile justice, and how to provide the protection to the children, how to take care of the children in need of care and protection, as well as children who come in contact with law. So we are continuously trying to create this awareness program at all levels, and more so at the grassroots level. Next. Sir, a very important part of our system are the block child protection committees and village child protection committees. As we all know, there is hardly any system of the government available at the block or village level. So these committees can always act as representing the social defense system for the child protection. And we have already started the various meetings at the block level as well as the village level. Though in 243 blocks of Gujarat, block protection committees have been formed. In 18,000 odd villages, village child protection committees have been formed, and we have started the meeting, and we have formed the software programs also for them. And already the number of meetings as shown in the slide we have started, and we are going to start them in a big way once the Corona-19 restrictions are opened up. So in any case, we are also going on with these in this teleconferencing mode, video conferencing mode. So we will be further strengthening this system of block and village protection unit committees. Next. Sir, as mentioned by Honorable Justice Bela Trivedi, she has already told about various various partnerships with the civil society organizations. So we are strengthening it more and more and trying to see that one more very important institute is being run by Gujarat Alkalis and Chemicals Limited at Government PSU at Vadodara, and they are taking care of the physically challenged children. And in addition, as mentioned, Gujarat National Law University, Gujarat CSR Authority, UNICEF with Samvedna Trust, Miracle Foundation, UNICEF with Praxis, Alembic, SOS Children Village, etc. are working with us. And we are trying to see that more and more corporations, companies, etc. join us in our efforts to provide the protection to the children, needy children. Sir, online system has to be developed in line with the requirement of the time. So monitoring of all child care institutes is already in our state is being done through CM dashboard. The report directly goes to reaches the CM dashboard at the CM office where the CM himself sits. Every month he is taking a review of many schemes, which includes some of our schemes also. The Juvenile Justice Fund has already been established, and this year we have got 2.50 crores, and earlier fund is also there, so we'll be utilizing this fund for creating some new schemes if required. And we have also initiated Child Protection Management Information System, in which all the forms of the JJ Act are being taken online, and they'll be filled online by the machinery at the district level, and we'll be getting all the information through online. Next. So capacity building, I have already talked, awareness generation program, etc. We are strengthening and moving ahead. So, sir, another very important issue is regarding that we have got digital Seva Setu here in Gujarat, and the government wants that we should include more and more services for which can be provided to the public in one day. So this digital Seva Setu program is totally online, and we have got the e-gram centers which are equivalent to the common services centers. So we are integrating them, and we are adding already as far as social defense division of the social justice department is concerned, we have got already 7 schemes. We have got in which within the same day the approval for various child protection schemes and other schemes is given. The registration can be done at the village level itself. They need not come. Affidavit can be done at the village level, and various uploading, etc. of the forms can also be done at the village level. So that is another very important thing which we are going to further strengthen, and as many benefits to the children can be provided at the village level itself. So this in nutshell, briefly what we are doing here, and as per the topic given to me, and sir, this is all from my side. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity.
Yes. Thank you. Good morning to all of you. It's a privilege to present our views on the state of West Bengal in this August gathering. Without going for a formal way of addressing the gathering, may I start with the presentation straight away because of the time constraint. The state of West Bengal have thought of the well-being of the children, and the care and protection which are required to be taken during the pandemic. The coronavirus pandemic and the measures to contain its spread has disrupted the children's life, their health, development, learning, behavior, their families' economic security, and their protection from violence and abuse. The children who are in different CCIs are the most vulnerable section of the society, and their mental stress and the agony increase manifold. In order to ensure safety, a drive was taken to restore majority of them with the families after conducting the SIR. But after that, also nearly 4,500 children remain in the CCIs who are absolutely non-restorable. The children who continue to stay in the CCIs during the lockdown period have faced greater mental stress, and to combat this, several steps have been taken to boost up their mental energy through therapeutic sessions. We have adopted a module which has been divided into two categories. That is the dance movement therapy and the integrated intervention through music therapy. So far as the first category is concerned, this intervention has been tried out in 4 different CCIs in the district of Murshidabad, Nadia, North 24 Parganas, and Malda. In this initiative, Kolkata Samvad, an NGO, is a technical partner. This is a unique therapeutic intervention using some relaxation and the trauma recovery tools, and are very effective for the children who are in distress situations. Initially, online workshops were arranged with individual CCIs separately with children and caregivers to identify their needs. Main objective of this workshop was the orientation of the children and the caregivers about the process of this dance movement therapy, that is DMT, to understand the need of the children and to map and identify the methods of collaboration of these dance movement therapy sessions. During this workshop, issues like challenge restricted life leading to anger, depression, and sadness, troubled behavior, mood fluctuation, anxiety, etc. were surfaced. Mental stress of caregivers as they were asked to stay in CCI for a long period, and the fear of pandemic was also a concern. A light physical exercise was also conducted during this inaugural session. Based on the age and the need of the children, they were identified and divided into groups of 10 to 12 children. Accordingly, the group sessions are still continuing, and the sessions have basically 3 kind of therapeutic techniques. One is a tool for relaxing, stabilizing emotions. 2, the motivational sessions to stay positive. And the 3rd is a trauma recovery session with survivors of trafficking and violence. We have given a chart how that particular module works and in what way we do it. The guided practice sessions are organized twice in a week in each CCIs. Apart from that, video clipping and the tracks are being prepared and shared with the CCI for practice sessions. Caregivers are also trained to continue as facilitator during the practice sessions. In this method, both caregivers and the children are able to release the stress. What we perceived during the interventions during the lockdown, not only the children and the inmates of the homes, they were having certain mental stress, but the caregivers were also facing the identical and the similar problems. So we have tried to give this particular therapeutic, the sessions both to the caregivers as well as to the inmates of the home. Moreover, for the sustainability of the intervention, trainers are being identified amongst these children who can facilitate the children of other CCIs. In this was a pool of resource support generated within the system, And from May 2020, total 152 children are covered till date, and that process is well documented. May I move to the next slide? That is the integrated intervention through music therapy. Based on the learning of a special action research project implemented in the CCL homes by a psychology department of the Calcutta University on brain behavior, mapping state of West Bengal initiative, and unique intervention in 2 CCIs in this financial year. The finding of the research indicated that the children are often victimized by the contextual parallax, which often compel them to participate in deviated activities. Psychological impact of music is well documented, and it is also found that a vast resource of Indian classic music, if applied under a professional guidance, can definitely have far-reaching impact on these children. Accordingly, this intervention was planned. Initial plan was changed to online session because of the pandemic having struck in the meantime, and the necessary hardwares and the software are being installed at all ends. Initial workshops were organized to identify the special needs. The caregivers were identified, and they also identified the children requiring such interventions. This includes a group counseling session, an individual counseling session by trained dedicated clinical psychologists, and special music sessions twice a week. Special tracks are developed by Pandit Sarthi Chatterjee, who is the technical mentor of this project. The entire project is being supervised by Psychology Department of Calcutta University. During this intervention, acute issues which require psychiatric interventions are identified and timely interventions could be done. In addition, the training of the counselors of the CCIs and the DCPUs were carried out with the support of the Health and Family Welfare Department, Government of West Bengal, and from the expert from NIMHANS. These trainings have immensely helped the counselors to understand the technical know-how of providing remote counseling over telephone and on a virtual mode. Resource directory of the mental health professionals have been created at a district level. Linkage have been established with the Anvesa counselors. Addressing the mental health, we have included the community-based mental health support through DCPUs, which also includes sharing of information on available services through community-based platforms like PRIs, HSGs, and the adolescent groups, referral and linkage with the experts at state level for remote counseling. The next slide. We have certain we have shown a photographs that all those steps have been taken and have been well documented. Some of the photographs maybe just before the pandemic actually struck and the lockdown was declared, and these are the some of the initiatives which was taken in order to secure the future. Next. In order to secure the future of the children, attaining adulthood and at the existing CCIs, skill enhancement training and the placement initiatives were undertaken in collaboration with the different corporate houses. The initiative was also taken to give a professional training for retail management in collaboration with the Bandhan Bank, the training of auto body painting by ITI and the Maruti Udyog, and in fact 18 girls and 20 boys are placed in job in formal sector after completion of their training in the financial year. Linkage with this skill mission, Utkarsha Bangla and the Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushal Yojana is another initiative which will start very soon. Career counseling was also done by the polytechnics in different CCIs. At state level workshops with technical educational department, National Rural Livelihood Mission, horticulture departments were organized and different initiatives are also identified, which will be taken very soon. The conversion is the only way out to rehabilitate these children in the mainstream and to make their future bright. Linking children in CCIs with the professional course, the government of West Bengal has taken an initiative in reserving 5% seats in the nursing. The career counseling by Polytechnic and a special emphasis on the rehabilitation and the job placement of the traffic survivors are also some of the instances which the government of West Bengal has undertaken. The workflow for restoration of the children has been prepared to strictly in terms with the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of the Children Act 2015. An initiative for deinstitutionalization and the post-restoration follow-up was indicated during the lockdown, where a structured mechanism for follow-up was developed. During the lockdown, 1,503 children have been restored to their families from the childcare institutions. As a measure to know the well-being of these children, post-restoration follow-up was done for 1,264 children. Follow-up was done at least twice in a month, and the children were linked with other services as per their need and the requirement. 65 children were linked with the remote counseling by the DCPUs. 105 families were linked to the PDS system for ensuring food security, and 19 children have been given the sponsorship support. In absence of any uniform system to follow up, so far as the restored children after deinstitutionalization is concerned, each district was doing its own way, either through production of the child before the CWC or the JJB, as the case may be on a given date, or over telephone, or in few cases by carrying out home visit of the restored children through DCPUs, Childline, and NGOs. No standard format was used to capture the follow-up reports, and no system was there to share the finding with the state. In order to create a uniform reporting mechanism for the post-restoration follow-up, a template and a collation sheet were devised and shared with the districts. The follow-up format has 3 sections. The first section covers the general information related to a child, such as the date of restoration, whether restored on conditional clause, whether sponsorship support provided or not. The second part captures the status of the physical, mental, and emotional well-being of the restored child, including their food security, educational status, and awareness about the COVID-related protocols. And the third captures the family conditions, including the livelihood status, the parameters for vulnerability, and the linkages. Each restored child is being done and captured in the follow format, and which is collated at with the state every month. Orientation of the staff were carried out on an interview techniques to elicit requisite information and to capture the same in the format. The frequency of follow-up are not the same for all children. It is decided in consultation with the CWCs, and on the basis of the finding of the follow-ups done, the reports are analyzed and actions are taken by the districts in terms of following counseling support to the child or linking the families with the social protection schemes. During the period between the April 20 and September 2020, 1,503 children are restored, out of which follow-up are done of 1,064. The 65 children restored were found to be emotionally unwell. These children were provided with remote counseling support by the counselors of the DCPUs. 105 children were not getting nutritious food as the family income was adversely affected due to the pandemic. So the security was also provided under the PDS system. 19 children have been provided a sponsorship support. During the lockdown, there has been other steps which were taken by the state of West Bengal, as we have indicated, relating to this, the support on our emotional quotient, support on our physical well-being, support on a health issues, and what we think that to do in future. There is one unique program which is now and underway, and we are going to implement in a very near future, is the customized money back policy with the life insurance scheme for the children without families, so that once they attain the age of 21, they will get a lump sum amount, the maturity amount from that particular life insurance policy, and that would help them to excel better in future. Apart from the same, we want to introduce a career counseling, a special provision for the children who wanted to pursue in higher educations. We are also trying to provide the seats in a different professional courses, and we are also developing a foster care guidelines which was not there in place, and we hope that it will come in near future. The challenges which the state of West Bengal actually faced and perceived to have faced is there has not been any revision of the remuneration of the ICPS staff. I'm given to understand that the last revision was in the year 2017, and during these 3 years, there has been changes in a price index as well as the spurt in the price rise of the commodities, and that need to be revised immediately. The remuneration given to the social worker of the JJB is also not in commensurate to what is required to be paid to them. We have further faced a problem relating to repatriation of the Myanmar nationals, because the country is not, the said country, the home identification appears to have been very difficult for the children who have been apprehended because of the non-cooperations. So once the government of India is here in this particular program, we beseech to them to take steps in this regard so that those children can be repatriated. We are also facing a problem relating to a special needs for the children who requires the same, because of the few numbers of the psychologists and the psychiatrists available within the state. And we have written up to the NIMHANS for providing such supports, and we hope that in near future we will get it. This is the presentation so far as the state of West Bengal is concerned. Since the Calcutta High Court also exercises a jurisdiction over the Union Territory of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, so we also want to present the certain good practices which has been done by such Union Territory. The Union Territory is totally funded by the central government. So various schemes as floated by the central government is been provided and has been extended to all the children's. The budgets have been made. We have recommended, we have proposed for engagement of the tutors and the clinical psychologists in a administration run the CCIs and under the innovative activities. We have also held a meeting meeting of the Board of Ministry of the Women and the Child Development, and the ministry has agreed in principle to the proposal of the Union Territory in this regards, but the proposal has not been vetted as yet. This is a very unique the achievements of the Union Territory, where the post-restorative the achievements that can be seen. We have placed one children as a counselors of the within the home after as a post-restorative measures. We have also appointed one child in a police department as well as a primary school teacher. We have also the supporting the child who have been admitted in the Shanti Niketan at Calcutta and pursuing the Bachelor of Fine Arts therein. We have also provided the sponsorship or for doing the internship in the chartered accountancy. And we are also providing the financial support and the other supports to a child who stood forth in the entire Union Territory in class 12 examinations. So these are some of the success stories which the Union Territory has achieved even during the lockdown. Thank you. Now I hand over the baton to Ms. Sanghamitra Ghosh for presentation of that module for tracking of the missing children and the monitoring of the children and the human trafficking.
For this very august audience, an online information system which has been developed by us in the West Bengal Task Force, the Rescue, Restoration, Repatriation and Integration Module. The WPTF calls it the Triple RI. As we all know, West Bengal has a very long international border, 2,500 kilometers long, which it shares with Bangladesh, Nepal and Bhutan. The geographical location of the state means that it's a very high human traffic volume state. And it translates into many children from these neighboring countries coming into our childcare institutions. In fact, right now we have 180 Bangladeshi children and 35 Nepalese children staying with us. Now, repatriating these children to their homeland is a very complex process involving many players and therefore is often excruciatingly long. It is these children who stuck so far away from their own country and their own family that moved us to devise this online platform, the Triple RI. However, before I talk about the Triple RI, I think I'll step back a little in time and dwell for a moment on the Track Child portal. The Triple RI that we are focusing on today is just the offshoot. Is Track Child, which is the mother portal. Track Child, as many of the esteemed persons in the webinar today know, and also many of my colleagues across states in the country using it also know, is a missing persons information system. It was designed by the West Bengal unit of the NIC as far back as in 2004, and the national rollout happened in 2012. Since then, Track Child has evolved to keep pace with the rapidly changing juvenile justice ecosystem in the country, as is expressed through the various juvenile justice acts. In fact, the latest version 3.0 of the Track Child is fully aligned with the Juvenile Justice Act 2015. Track Child today has matured into the most comprehensive and integrated system that the country now has for restoring lost children. It's an interface which is very user-friendly. Its navigation is intuitive, it is icon-based, and the CWC, for example, can simply go to, let's say, the process to give a child in foster care and download all the relevant forms which it finds organized in this module. It doesn't have to trawl through all the 46 forms that the JJ Act has, so that saves a lot of time. The orders can all be generated from this portal. They are auto-generated from the portal. They are pre-filled with the child's existing data, so that saves a lot of time again. The dashboard, we have a dashboard, a personalized dashboard for each child, and we know the status of each child by simply entering this dashboard, the stage at which the child is in. We also have an elaborate transfer module. If a child is transferred from one CCI to another, from the jurisdiction of one CWC to another, it is all effected through this portal. Can we have the presentation back? Oh, that's it. Yeah. We also have a case closing module where we exactly know that when a child leaves the CCI, is she discharged to her family? Has she been given up for adoption? Is she repatriated? Or is she moving to an aftercare program? So that the MIS that we have from this portal is very substantive, it's informative, and it lends itself to rich analysis later on. So the portal also offers online registration facilities for the CCIs, for FIT facilities, for children's courts as mandated by the JJ Act. Currently in West Bengal, we are the state which is a major user of Track Child portal. In fact, in 2020, we've already entered the data of 35,000 missing children and 31,000 recovered children as on date. Other big states like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, UP, Karnataka, Kerala, Gujarat, a lot of our colleagues, Assam, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, are also extensively and prolifically using this portal. And we hope that all states take advantage of the wealth of information that TrackChild offers and the dense network that the portal offers, and which can only mean more good for our children. Moving on to III, which is what we are looking at today. As I said, RRI is the offshoot of the mother portal, and RRI is the brainchild of the West Bengal Task Force. The West Bengal Task Force is anchored in the Department of Women and Child Development and Social Welfare of the West Bengal government, and it's a monitoring and coordinating body. It has as its members all the Directorate of Child Rights, which is the first directorate exclusively on child rights and trafficking that any state evolved in the country. It has members of the Home Department, officers of the Home Department on it, on the Panchayat and Labor Department on it, because there are integration issues involved also. It has the police, it has the border security force who are involved in handing over children to our foreign counterparts. It has UNICEF, it has the Bangladeshi High Commission or the Nepal Embassy people on it. It has Childline and all other NGO partners who work in this sector. Now, the WTF is a monitoring body, but while it was monitoring, it noticed that repatriation was taking a very long time because lots of officers were generating lots of paperwork. And we all know in government that one paper which is missent or one paper which is not sent or one paper which is lying unattended for a few days at each office will eventually snowballing into years of waiting for that child in the CCI waiting to go back home to Bangladesh or Nepal, as the case may be. Now, the time between the arrival of what we realized in WTF was that the time between the arrival of the child at the CCI to the time that the child could leave the CCI was a complete blank for us. We were supposed to be monitoring it, but we were unable to monitor, and therefore we were unable to intervene at every point where the delays needed to be obviated. RRI was designed to plot this entire time between the child's coming in and the child's leaving, to plot this entire time on a chart so that all information and communication gaps could be closed. We all know that repatriation is a lot of paperwork, lots of attachments, it's bulky paperwork, but the saving grace is that it's routine paperwork. So we could use this ICT tool to auto-generate the documents. The RRI being linked to the mother portal TrackChild, it imports data of the child from TrackChild and pre-fills it on any orders, forms, letters, etc. that it generates from itself. So all kinds of duplication of data entry is avoided, and the entire tedium and the delay which is involved in this paperwork is cut out. Archiving and real-time retrieval of any documents that is needed at any time is made possible by this tool. When this paperwork was off portal, we can see the challenges that we were facing. It was very difficult for the stakeholders to be aware of, to know at which stage at any case exactly stood at any point of time. Now, with the portal coming in, since the documents are generated on the portal, the intended recipient gets alerts via emails or on SMSs on his phone. Importantly, also, all the other offices which are up and down the entire chain of repatriation or restoration are also kept in the loop. So it's possible for us to do advanced planning, parallel action can be undertaken. There is no chance of intended recipients not getting a communication, which leads to several holdups in the usual case. When we look at the actual sir. Sir. Yes, sir. Sir. So exactly, sir, that is exactly, sir. Hmm. Yes, sir. Hmm. So that's exactly what I was trying to say, that this is linked to the national portal. It is an arm of the national portal. It covers an area which the national portal did not cover. The national portal is unable to track the various processes through which the child's restoration system goes through. So that is where the restoration or repatriation systems go through. So we created this portal to see that every stage is on the portal. Yes, there is, sir. Yes. In fact, this is the national portal, sir. This is what I was trying to present. This is the national track child portal, sir. Yes, this is the national tracking system, sir. Yes, yes. This is the profile, and yes, yes. We are linked. We are importing data from this portal to monitor the repatriation process of the child. Yes, yes, sir. So these are the many hands through which the repatriation process passes through, sir. Once the time starts clicking, the ticking once the child enters the CCI. So this is where our portal begins. Once the child enters the CCI, sir, let's for the purposes of this discussion presume that the child is from Bangladesh. The CCI spends about a few weeks in collecting the maximum information that it can for family tracking and for nationality determination. Now, once the CCI uploads this information on the RRI portal, the WTF will act on it. The WTF will act on that information and will quickly send the request for repatriation, for nationality verification, to the Home Office. The Home Office will forward it to the MEA, sir, and then to the MEA will forward it to the Bangladesh High Commission or to the Nepal Embassy, whichever country is concerned. So we expect that with the RRI in place, this entire chain of communication, which used to take months before, is going to be cut down to about 4 or 5 weeks, simply because the routine letters will be portal generated, and also because the process is now monitorable through this portal. Now, once the Bangladesh High Commission receives the request for nationality confirmation, it goes to its own government to does its due diligence. And once the home address of the child is verified, the information flows back in the same path along from the BDHC, sir, to the MEA, which instructs the Home Department to issue the repatriation order. So this is what we are all waiting for, the repatriation order. Once the repatriation order comes through, this is a paper which on the portal goes simultaneously to the West Bengal Task Force, to the DCPU, to the IB, to the BSF, and to the CCI itself. And this is the multiplicity of effort that we are trying to cut down on through this RRI, because once the repatriation order is there on the portal, everyone concerned can see it at the same time and can take parallel action. For example, the IB can start processing its NOC, which is very necessary for the child to move. The BSF can take up the process of, fixing the the handing over date with the border security guards of Bangladesh. And so parallel action, simultaneous actions, and delay at every one of these stages means it will translate into a time gap of 21 weeks ideally, sir, if we monitor, if we use the tool properly, which is now taking upward of 1.5 years. So what we try to achieve through this triple RI is better coordination, transparency of the entire process of repatriation or restoration, as the case may be. It works the same way for CNCP and CCL children within our own country. Cutting down on duplication, translating into faster restoration of children, translating into happier faces, sir. This is what we are looking at through the RRI portal, sir. Thank you. It's in, so we are in the, we have finalized the software. We are going through the process of security audit, sir. Yes. Yes. Definitely, sir. We are going through the security audits because it involves very confidential data. So once we do that, we will we'll not do a pilot, sir. We'll be rolling it out. It's a very robust system, sir. And we will share the findings. Thank you, sir. So that will be all from West Bengal. Sir.
Yes. No, there's no problem.
High courts who are online, I would invite any comment here. Or shall I proceed? Shall we proceed? It seems that there is no one wishing to.
Sir, with
Yes, yes.
Patna High Court, sir.
Yes, yes.
So can we questions? Sir, with regard to the tracking system, various states have very different. We also had a tracking system. It was very effective, sir. So as it was suggested, I think this should come in a point at a national level where there is integration and a lot of input, because I remember last time a presentation was made on our part and there was a lot of interest and a lot of high courts, especially the Bombay High Court. We all got together in a system and a software, how to put everything under one platform in one software, right from tracking and progress. And sir, two things I would like to flag. I don't know whether it is at this point appropriate. One thing is, sir, that Mr. Mishra of the central government is here. If he would allow the state some dynamism in the funds, like there's a ceiling at how many persons can be sponsored in the ICPS scheme. Let it be to the DCPUs, because a lot of time, just because of the constraint of an upper limit, a lot of things are, and the impact is otherwise. Suppose next time when you already exhausted your somebody more deserving comes. So that becomes an issue. And with regard to NIMHANS trained sponsorship of central councillors, the state is totally inadequate. So that too at the level of the center, if this central government could ensure a certain number of trained psychoanalysts or psychosocial personnel for the states, that would be a big thing, sir, because that is one of the major constraints we have in Bihar.
Sir, may I just respond to Mr. Justice Manola's observation? As I said yesterday, our now scheme is under restructuring. So this and all other suggestions which are coming, I would urge that if by Tuesday itself, if all this could be summarized and then put in sort of bullet form, then we will have this endeavor to integrate this with whatever we are trying to modify. One more thing I would like to submit is this, the point you made about integration of these portals, I think is a very important point, because my experience here has been that there are so many information systems running in the country, not only in children domain, but also in women's domain. And within the tracking systems, there is this track child system, there is a CCTNS system, there is integrated time justice system. So there is a need for, I mean, we have taken up a project now. We'll reach out to all the states and then the committees headed by honorable justices in High Court through you, sir, that there is a very serious need to integrate it seamlessly, and then states can have their own specialized kind of windows, whatever is important to them. So this integration, we have requested NEGD, National E-Governance Division, to draw a blueprint. So that I invite through you, sir, to each and everyone present here to join in actively, so that in a very time-bound manner, we are able to put in place a robust system.
So if I
Sir,
may from West Bengal.
So this is from
So may I? So from West Bengal, we had a submission. We find the track child portal, which is developed by NIC, an extremely robust and very comprehensive and a national level system, sir, which will be taking, which addresses all the issues that restoration and repatriation is facing. And we would request the Secretary, MWCD is here, and the Honorable Justices are all here. I think we require the MWCD to strongly back this, as it has in the previous years also, to strongly back this system and to see that the states use it more and more, because with more states compiling data, putting data on the system, it means that more and more children's data can be matched and more children can be restored. So we already have the system, sir. We need the government of India's support in this. It is a government of India sponsored program.
Sir, one submission from Karnataka, sir. Sir, we
let it go. Sir, please go ahead afterwards. After you, sir. Yes.
Sir, one small submission. Sir, in Karnataka, we tried a mission mode data entry into this national tracking system for missing and vulnerable children, but we face a lot of technical constraints, sir.
But when the national portal was developed, there was a problem in migrating the data. And ultimately, there was a facilitation round with the NIC.
Sir, one submission, sir. We request more training sessions to the states to operate and upload the data in the national tracking system, sir.
Justice Bhatt, if I may, from Bombay, just a suggestion that since Secretary here, from the Kolkata presentation, it appears that it still takes about 5 weeks for the whole process to go through. Probably the Secretary could do something about that. And the idea is that this should be done as expeditiously as possible. So that's
Yes,
just a
we
small.
agree that the
Correct. Right. That's right.
Sir, repatriations are faster, sir, but repatriations are longer because it involves other country governments, which take their time in verifying addresses. However, I mean, since, as I said, this portal is going to ensure that all of us know what all of us are up to, so we can prod each other and facilitate the entire process. So 5 weeks, yes, that is what we are taking now, but it should be cut down to the minimum.
Sundaresh from Madras High Court, madam. Your Lordship's suggestion on the question of reservation, I think which is a very, very serious matter we should all consider. Because either vertical or horizontal reservation, we need to provide, and this will give a strong message to everyone that the children in conflict with or children who are in need will have to be taken into consideration for the betterment. Then both for educational and for employment. On both counts, we need to consider. Yes. 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 True, true. Yes. 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 Thank you.
Sir, can I, with the permission of Honorable Chair, can I make one more point, sir? Sir, little bit more specific. We are having problems of the sort, sir, that lot of children from Bihar, they go out in Bombay, in Kerala, they have been rescued by the CCIs and kept there. Now the issue is for 4 months, 5 months, the parents approach us that, look here, they are there, it is admitted, everything is there, but there is some technical issue of their repatriation. So we have to keep on an individual basis, request personally the officers to be more proactive. If the center could take a leading role, because just bring it, both the sides have admitted that yes, he's here, the parents are there. 4 months, 5 months, they are languishing. So there they have issues, interstate issues. If the center, Mr. Mishra is here, because that is a major issue in Bihar, sir. A lot of people outside are there, and it takes 4 months, 5 months. Individual parents come to us in Bihar that, look here, my son or my daughter has been there in some place. If that can be taken up. No, no. Thank you, sir. That is what actually we've been doing. I only wanted if a protocol is there, then they don't wait for individual responses. That is what we've done and we've been successful, sir. But the system is there, so we don't have to intervene.
Do that offline. We'll talk to Justice Amanon.
I would like to point out there was an observation while visiting a home that these trafficked children, Rajasthan also has its own share of Bihar children. So what was happening was that these trafficked children were restored back to their families even before their evidence was recorded. So when I had inspected the institution and that in charge of the institution shared this information to me, then I requested Honorable the Chief Justice, and a direction has now been given that in any event, whenever these trafficked children are uh, recovered, then the trafficker against whom a charge sheet is filed under Section 370 IPC, he gets scot-free because the children are restored before their evidence is recorded. So in Rajasthan now a practice has been adopted that before restoration, compulsorily the evidence of such children shall be recorded, and an outer limit has also been prescribed that the children court shall record their evidence, say preferably within 4 weeks after the restoration. So if this practice also can be adopted, because restoring the children without ensuring that sir. Certainly, sir. Certainly, sir.
Sir, if I may. Sir, in fact, yes.
Sir, if permitted, sir, I would like to add, sir, Jharkhand is also facing the same problem. So, sir,
So if I may submit, there is already a national protocol, a national standardized operation procedure, sir, for how to go about restorations in a way so that it obviates delays. As the Honorable High Court in Rajasthan pointed out, that this particular practice of taking evidence from the children before they're actually restored to their families while they're already in the CCI and within the JJ network, that's part of the protocol, sir. I think I very strongly feel what we need right now is constant orientations on the existing protocols, which are comprehensive enough, because all of us move in and out of departments, sir, and all of us may not be aware at the same time. Sir, it's there already.
So with your permission, actually section 95 of the Act already has that. What we need is training of our JJB officers and the CCI of members about this repatriation. It is already there in section 95 of the Act, but we need to sensitize our officers about it. They themselves can pass such an order, even in the district level. Yes.
Is the need to record evidence within the requirement of law. So that has to be done. That has to be done on a priority basis.
And then the second point which you have mentioned. And of course the legal department.
So, Director WCD, sir. Sir, the single major reason behind the delay in repatriation is the absence of CWC in a particular district, sir. So the gap that needs to be filled is in the absence of a CWC, then the mechanism should be clear and or uniform in all the states. In that case, if the CWC is not there, then there will be a state level authority who can fill that gap, sir. That will remove half the problems. That's what we feel, sir.
Sir, in the state of Chhattisgarh, this aspect, sir, may I have a word, sir? In the state of Chhattisgarh, this problem had arisen that because the new appointments were not being made. But since this was being continuously monitored by the Juvenile Justice Committee of the High Court, then we immediately took up the matter with the government, and they were directed to ensure that all the vacancies are filled up. And this has given very good result, and most of the vacancies have now been filled up. Yes.
Thank you, my lords. Honorable Justice R.S. Bhatt, S.R. Bhatt sir, Chairperson, Juvenile Justice Committee, Supreme Court of India. My sister and brother judges on the Juvenile Justice Committees in the states, Secretary WCD Government of India, Shri Mishra, secretaries of WCDs from various state governments, Ms. Soledad Hararo, Chief UNICEF, I am thankful to my Lord's Honorable Justice Bhatt for having organized this 2 days program on the issues being faced during the COVID pandemic. My Lords, as we have had the discussions regarding the challenges which are being faced by the entire system and the actions needed thereupon, we have prepared a brief note regarding the particular challenges regarding restoration, diversion, bail, and family-based care in post-COVID periods and challenges to the education. Now, regarding the Palanhar Yojana of the state of Rajasthan, as my lords pointed out, and regarding the challenges to the education, I will request my lords' kind permission that Secretary WCD, Government of Rajasthan, Madam Gayatri Rathod would address the gathering on that aspect, and I would be touching the other aspects briefly. The child protection services are said to be emergency services, as it is important to cater to the need of the children who are in difficult circumstances. Realization that such services are emergent became all the more evident at the time of the pandemic. Present time has brought many more challenges which we have to cope up with. For this, more focus and efforts are required to be put in to safeguard the rights of children. The challenges which we have faced broadly, which have been catalogued regarding the restoration, are non-acceptance of children by families due to financial crisis, reluctance of extended families in receiving children, possibility of endangering situation for restored children, use of limited approaches and techniques by stakeholders, lack of assessment process for mainstreaming or readmission of children, and limited access to public transportation. Now, the basic issue regarding these challenges is the lack of finances. Most of the children who are coming into contact with the JJ system belong to the low socio-economic strata that have been adversely affected by economic crisis during pandemic. When efforts were made for restoration of children who were in CCIs due to various reasons, it was observed that the families were reluctant in accepting children, as it resulted in additional financial and other responsibilities. Where the children had extended families instead of biological parents, they were not accepted easily because of the uncertainty and the limited resources. Further, the agencies and the children also had the apprehension with regard to the care and protection if the child was to be restored to such families. It was felt that children in conflict with law who were restored had an increased risk of being threatened by the victim or other associated criminals. Similarly, victims of POCSO, particularly in cases of incest, had the fear of surviving such adverse conditions with the abuser. The authorities were hesitant to explore the various means of restoration and use the traditional approaches and techniques as if the situation was normal. It may be mentioned that the restoration got delayed as social investigation reports or reports with regard to family antecedents were not submitted on time. Now, this was because of the difficulty in movement being faced by the officers because of the COVID situation. At present, there is no process or assessment tool which regarding the readmission of children, which hinders the statutory bodies to decide as to when and how the child is to be readmitted in the CCI or should be restored permanently. The Rajasthan state has taken certain initiatives regarding this COVID situation on the aspect of restoration. 69 special quarantine homes were established for children coming into JJ system. Every child who came into the institution was firstly quarantined, and after ensuring that he is or she is not infected, then only they were taken into the main institution. During the lockdown, about 2,352 children in need of care and protection and 1,076 children in need of care were restored. In wake of COVID-19 pandemic, capacities of the chairpersons and members of the CWCs have been enhanced to explore the possibilities of various ways of restoration. necessary directions were issued to the CWCs and the district child protection units to proactively consider restoration and deinstitutionalization. I may also state here that we have taken up the various issues pertaining to the JJC in a suo motu writ petition, and now we are in the process of ensuring that a dedicated SJPU is established in every district in the state of Rajasthan. Now, way forward regarding these challenges, as we have restored, once we have restored the children, it becomes important now to assess the vulnerabilities of the families of the restored children. This assessment may be got done by the DCPUs or the probation officers. This exercise will help the authorities to expand the safety net for the children and their families. One important aspect would be to link the families and the children with the social protection schemes being operated by the state. Once the assessment is done and we are able to identify the vulnerabilities and the areas of intervention, then accordingly, financial and other assessment may be provided to these children and their families through social protection schemes and programs. To strengthen counseling and follow-up mechanism, it is important now, as everyone has now realized that the COVID pandemic has brought around various mental issues with even the normal people. These children who are in the institution are facing graver hazards. So it is important to strengthen the mental health of the children and their families. In the present context, special psychosocial support programs are needed to be initiated using physical or virtual medium as required, so that the fear and uncertainty can be reduced. This will also help to ensure well-being of the children and their follow-up. At this stage, I would like to share that Rajasthan State Judicial Academy recently organized a 2-day seminar or a training program for all the members of the JJBs and the children courts with the aid and active assistance of the NIMHANS, so that the officers can be sensitized with the psychological issues faced by the children, and more particularly regarding the steps which are being taken under Section 15 of the Act. So these regular training programs with the specialized faculty members of NIMHANS can be an important aspect. And I would request Sri Mishra ji, Secretary WCD Government of India, to devise a program, a common program, so that these trainings can be offered maybe on YouTube or other social media platforms uniformly across the country, to determine the best interest and well-being and safety of the children during restoration process. The pandemic, which was followed by lockdown, has brought anxiety and stress in society, which has made children more vulnerable. Thus, it is needed that while taking any decision with regard to restoration of any category of child, best interest, well-being and safety of the child be ensured. It is in this situation, it may not always be the best decision to deinstitutionalize the child. As long as the child is in the institution, the supervision is definitely better. There may be some cases in which the best interest of the children would be more secure in institutional care. JJ system provides ample scope and ways for deinstitutionalization and restoration. Such scopes and ways need to be explored and utilized by JJBs and CWCs. These options include release of children under different provisions of JJ Act and the Model Rules 2016. Innovative approaches like use of restorative circles and support desk for providing guidance to authorities must be explored. Since restoration is a process is a collective exercise which indulges many stakeholders, it is imperative to have better coordination and convergence amongst them, as it will lead in fastening and expediting the whole process. Now, one important issue which has been flagged by my Lord's Honorable Justice Bhatt is regarding bail as a restorative measure. In this regard, the issues which are being faced is regarding lack of qualitative social investigation reports. As I referred earlier, the probation officers, they are hindered by the COVID pandemic from moving around, from collecting material for preparing the social investigation reports. And therefore, the conventional methods are being adopted for bails. Here, I would like to draw my Lord's attention and this August gathering's attention to a particular instance. Per chance, a matter of bail came up before me on the judicial side, and it was probably the most shocking instance which I have faced regarding bail for a juvenile. A 13-year-old child who was charged with simple theft. He had been in custody, he has been in the institution for about 2 months. His bail application was rejected by the Juvenile Justice Board without even referring to the report, social investigation report, SIR. And the appellate court, the children court, also rejected the bail application by cut, copy, paste. The identical reasoning was mentioned. So in that particular case, of course, directions have been given on the judicial side to consider the bail applications in the correct perspective of the JJ Act. But I feel that all the JJ committees in the states can devise a measure of calling for the orders by which bail applications, sample orders by which the bail applications of juveniles have been, children have been rejected by the boards, say 10 orders from each JJB, examining the validity thereof, and then providing a training to them under the umbrella of the Judicial Academy of the particular High Court. I am definitely planning for that, because after having perused that order, my conscience was shaken really. A 13-year-old child continues to be in the institution just because he has indulged in a single instance of theft. So these are the issues regarding bail. The officers have to be sensitized. Honorable, the Supreme Court has given clear directions that bail is a rule for juvenile in conflict, child in conflict law, and that direction has to be followed in letter and spirit. The state government has taken proactive measures regarding the state government as well as the High Court have taken proactive measures in this regard. Directions were given to the JJBs to consider and decide the bail applications on the same day. Police authorities were directed to strictly adhere to the pre-production procedures, which include non-registration of FIRs and limited apprehension. Bail applications of CICLs got presented online through legal aid. Directions were issued to conduct meetings through virtual mode. Capacity enhancement program was conducted by the Rajasthan State Legal Service Authority and the Rajasthan Judicial Academy. Weekly reports are now being summoned to assess the progress. And recently, Honorable, the Supreme Court has issued now directions to all the states to collect data regarding the pending bail applications. So the issue regarding bail applications of the juveniles has to be taken more aggressively by every juvenile justice committee in the states. Regarding the family-based care, the challenges which have been faced are regarding the alternative care programs being at the nascent stage. Of course, adoption, Rajasthan is quite far ahead, and actively the adoptions are being undertaken. But there are various issues regarding those also. There has to be a proper protocol for the NIAC programs, foster care and kinship or sponsorship. Awareness and acceptance about these programs are not there in the society. This issue requires a lot of focus and deliberations. There is complication in the legal framework which creates a fear in the mind of the foster parent that the custody of the child is a temporary measure and they may lose it. So this fear has to be removed by counseling. The placement of older children is difficult. I was visiting a home at Bikaner, and I was shocked to find that there were 3 children from the same family, siblings. And because of the KARA guidelines, that wherever there are siblings, they have to be placed in the same family. These children were there in the home for years together, but their adoption was not possible because no family was ready to take 3 children at a time simultaneously. So these complications have to be eased. These have to be taken care of. The existing provisions with regard to the engaging families and placement of children have bottlenecks associated with them, which further make it difficult to engage families with these programs. There is a novel concept of group foster care, which has not taken off, unfortunately, because of absence of guidelines and financial provisions under the ICPS. Madam Rathod would be addressing regarding the best practices of Rajasthan regarding the family-based care. The issues which are being faced by the NIAC may be flagged as need for practical and uniform procedural regulations, promotion and resources to strengthen the NIAC, special counseling and mental health care program required. Now this, the one issue which has been bothering me time and again, and which was briefly addressed earlier, is regarding the utilization of the ICPS. Now ICPS norms as they were established were keeping in lines with the earlier JJ Act. Now with the coming into force of the JJ Act 2015, the ICPS norms have to be revisited. And a very important fact which I would like to share is that in most of the states, the ICPS contribution has not been utilized. In Rajasthan, there was such an instance, and I also referred to it in an earlier program, that where almost 9.5 crores of the ICPS funds were lying unutilized. Keeping in view the COVID pandemic and the new challenges which are being faced presently, I would request Sri Mishra ji, Secretary WCD, to consider diversion of these funds to take care of the particular issues which have arisen because of the COVID pandemic. Uniform guidelines should be there regarding all the centralized schemes as well as the state government schemes. Special counseling and mental health care programs are required, and if the ICPS fund or a part thereof can be used to prepare the programs and upload them on the social media platforms in vernacular languages, I think that it will go a long way in ensuring that proper training is imparted to the counselors who are associated in the institutions, and even specialized programs for counseling to the children can be uploaded on the social media programs with the assistance of the NIMHANS, so that proper guidance and counseling can be provided. Maintaining database of vulnerable children and families, the state government should discharge the duty to identify children and families who are at risk and to link with them with the existing social protection schemes so that vulnerabilities of the families can be reduced. For this purpose, proper maintenance of database is required so that vulnerable children can be identified and linked with the schemes and other rehabilitation services easily. These are the brief submissions. In addition thereto, one issue which has been bothering most of the high courts, where UNICEF had earlier provided the secretariat, that secretariat has now, the human resource has been discontinued by the UNICEF because of the financial crunch. I would like to share with all my brother and sister judges of the JJ committees that the state of Rajasthan has agreed to provide the human resources for restarting the secretariats, which have gone a long way in ensuring that we can supervise the programs properly. So if this issue can be addressed and the secretariats can be provided to all the JJCs, it will go a long way in ensuring that we can monitor the programs properly. Thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I would now request Madam Gayatri Rathod, Secretary WCD, Government of Rajasthan, to address the meeting.
A very good afternoon, sir. Honorable Justice Ravindra Bhatt, sir, and all the honorable lordships connected in this on this platform today. I thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity to present before you some initiatives which Government of Rajasthan has taken for providing support and care, family-based support and care to children in need and protection. So as we all know, the first and formal requirement for a child is to grow up in a family atmosphere rather than going to any institution. And realizing this need, we developed a very robust family-based care mechanism under the name of Palanhar Yojana, which was also mentioned in some of the discussions in the morning, sir. And it has over the period evolved as a very strong gatekeeping measure to prevent children from coming to our institutions and developing a deviant behavior. Because the kind of atmosphere that the family person can give, with the support, with the control, with the supervision of the state government, I think it is the partnership of the state as well as the close relatives of the child who is in need and care. And this has actually helped in keeping the children away from the institutions. I would also like to mention, sir, that there was a study and Government of Rajasthan was asked that there are very few children in your childcare institutes. Why is it so? So one of the reasons, it was also reflected in one of the studies of UNICEF, and it was also reflected in one of the studies of IDS, Institute of Development Studies, that this innovation of Rajasthan as Palanhar has helped in keeping the children within the families and has prevented them from going astray and developing a deviant behavior. So initially we started this scheme in 2005, but learning from our own experiences, we kept on adding the categories. And as of now, there are 10 category of children who are covered under this scheme. Very briefly, I would like to mention the categories of children, sir. First of all, they are the orphan children, children of parents who are serving some kind of imprisonment of a death sentence, or the mother has died and the father is serving a life imprisonment. Children of widows who have married and gone to another family, children of leprosy affected mother or father, children of HIV AIDS infected mother or father. There is one social custom of women remarrying without divorcing the first person, sir, in some of the communities, sir, in some of the districts, which is called Nata Pratha. So the children there are again abandoned, those children. Then children of specially abled mother or father, children of abandoned or divorced women, and now we have recently added children of patients suffering from silicosis, because even they are the ones who require a lot of attention and care, sir. So right from their birth to the time they attain 18 years of age, we are providing assistance to the families to the Palanhar. Now the Palanhar is an immediate close relative. He can be either grandmother, grandfather, paternal uncle or aunt, maternal uncle or aunt, anyone who wants to keep the child. And also because the economic constraint doesn't hurt the overall economic balance of the family, government provides support. For a child who is less than 6 years of age, government provides 500 rupees per month. And for a children from 6 years to 18 years of age, 1,000 rupees per month is being provided. In addition to this amount, sir, 2,000 rupees annually is being provided for all other sorts of expenses for the child. The only requirement is that the child needs to be registered in the Anganwadi center if he's less than 6 years of age, and to be registered in any of the schools for the the next lot, sir. Seeing the COVID times, because all our Anganwadis were closed, all our schools were closed, for this year we have given this exemption. Without the certification from the school, we have upgraded all the children to the next level, and we are continuing, sir. And I would like to submit that for this year, our state government has earmarked 450 crores for this scheme, and as of now 407 crores have already been spent on these children, sir. So this has helped the children in to the families in pandemic, and this has actually come up as a very successful family-based model for the children who are orphaned and who actually need our attention, who actually, if we are able to keep them within the family, sir, that is the best step. And all the civil society partners who are working with us, even they have appreciated, and this has been highlighted as one of the key initiatives of Government of Rajasthan. So just to take one step forward, very recently on 13th of November, We have also launched foster care schemes, sir, under the name of Vatsalya. This is for those children in our child care institutes who are residing there and who have not been given for adoption. If any individual or any society, they want to come forward and want to take up the upbringing of the children, the state government will be providing 2,000 rupees per month to that individual or the family, because it is very recent. We are hoping that in coming 6 months, coming 1 year, we will be having good output of this scheme, sir, also. And for the grown-up children, sir, we have launched another scheme under the name of Samarth. This is for those children who are residing in our CCIs who are completing 18 years. Once they complete 18 years, it is difficult for them to find a place in the society, because to a particular point, they have lived in a very protected environment. To give them support under the Samarth scheme, government will be providing them housing facilities, we will be providing them skill training facilities, will be providing loan facilities, mentoring facilities for 3 years. And if the child shows some interest, we will be extending for 5 years also. So these are some of the few initiatives, sir, by which we intend to give a family kind of atmosphere, and the state will come forward to protect the children in any manner wherever required. We have been getting all guidance, all support from Honorable Justice Mehta, sir, also. And because of his interventions, many of the things are getting cleared in a very smooth manner, sir. This is the small initiative I wanted to bring to this August House. Thank you, sir.
Just give me a moment, Justice, but I'll just put my window. Share. Okay, answer that? Yes. This one. Justice, but just give me a moment. There is always this last minute glitch. Yes. Here. Right. Mira. Okay. Is that okay. Yes. Yeah. This is what. Can you see the presentation on the screen?
Yes, yes, I think all of us can. Please go on.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. In particular, Honorable Mr. Justice Ravindra Bhatt, Chairperson JJ Committee, my colleagues from various high courts. In particular, my colleagues from the Delhi High Court, Justice Mukta Gupta, Justice Anu Malhotra, Mr. Ram Mohan Mishra, Secretary to the Government of India, senior bureaucrats, in particular Secretary DWCD, Dr. and Director DWCD, Dr. Rashmi Singh, Ms. Soledad Herrero, Ms. Tanisha Datta, both of them are our friends from UNICEF, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. While I have a presentation with me, which you can see on the screen, and I'll go through the slides, I don't intend reading line by line because I understand there is a paucity of time. and we've already overshot. That's one of the reasons why I think I will avoid reading the entire presentation. The other is, which is more significant, is perhaps having heard each one of you very carefully, there is really nothing new to add. All of us have done a fair amount of work in the areas relating to children. The formats vary, perhaps, and there is a variance in terms of degree and the reach. The difference perhaps are because of paucity of funds and what perhaps is required is greater involvement of the officers in each of these departments. What I would like to share with you, all of you, is a couple of opening points and the key issues, or key points of my presentation. There are, as I noticed, key features of presentation of each state which has been represented prior to me. For example, in Bombay, Justice Menon raised an important issue of D factor, and there is this the scheme Balak Mata Pita Yojana in Calcutta, the music therapy that Calcutta has adopted, etc., etc. Insofar as, and this is a view that I would like to share, that my experience being part of the JJC, which was for a very long time held in Delhi by Justice Bhatt, has been that you cannot have a sustained restoration plan in play till you have what I would say a continuous conversation or cooperation both between agencies in a particular state or union territory and interagency cooperation. So therefore, the WCDs, the CWCs, the JJBs, in fact, even the JJCs, as Justice Bhatt just brought out only 10 minutes ago, the police, the DCPUs, the probationers of officers and CWOs need to communicate with each other. The second point which comes through, and which is again an experience I'm sure all of you have, is that unless we address the root causes which propel children from leaving the comfort of their homes, we are always going to be several steps behind the goal, which is having children back where they belong. The causes are well known. There is poverty, hunger, there is incest at home, there is marital discord between parents, there is drug abuse, there is lack of engagement. So therefore, what we need to do, and it is difficult for most JJCs to address all of these issues as aggressively as they would want to. Therefore, what we need to do is to address at least some of these issues to prevent the escape of children from their homes and to ensure once they are restored, they live with their families. It is in this context that in our presentation, which is of course a joint effort of my team members, which includes my colleagues as well as the officers who are there in the DWCD, that we picked up one such area, which was drug abuse. Not that it was picked up only recently, but we changed the way in which we approached the issue. And that happened primarily because year after year, when I sat on these committee meetings, we would get data and statistics without much improvement. We would be told there are de-addiction centers in Delhi, which are uh, not sufficient in number. In fact, they share beds with running hospitals, which led me and my colleagues to come to a conclusion that we perhaps need to go to a area to understand what exactly is the problem. So therefore, I think for the first time, at least our GGC went to the area, to one of the areas in Delhi. And those who are familiar, this is with Delhi, topography of Delhi. This is an area called Sultanpuri, which I was told is a drug-infested area. So we decided to go there. We went there as a team, along with officers which belonged to. Huh? Sorry, Jasubhat, can you hear me? Yes. Yeah. So we belong. We went to that area and we actually interviewed the persons who live in that area. And we got a huge response in as much as we had mothers from their households coming and speaking to us. There was some problem, so I thought I'll have better connectivity without the camera. But can you see me now? No, I haven't moved it because I said I'm not reading it. I was just kind of explaining. I mean, I can read it, but it will take longer. So I didn't want to do that. Yeah. So, so as I was saying, so we spoke to these mothers who were there, and they told us that, and they were actually pleading with us that they needed help so that their children could be weaned away from drugs. This is what started a pilot project in Sultanpuri, where in the very first, when we set it up sometime just before March of 2020, we had 100 people enrolling over there. I'm told today we have about 250 youngsters who are enrolled with this de-addiction center. The point here is that we have a de-addiction center only in one particular block in Sultanpuri, and I think Justice Bhatt could perhaps understand because he lives in Delhi, he's seen Delhi, and there are several such areas. So it can't be emphasized enough that we cannot scale it up till we have the requisite help from the state. And therefore, the point that I wish to share with the House is that we perhaps need to pick up out of the many such pain points a particular area and perhaps focus on that, which may help us in dealing with having a more sort of a robust restoration plan in play. The other thing that I wish to share with you is, and that's another innovation that we did in Delhi, is the direction that was issued by the Delhi government, of course, at the behest of the JGC, which was that every time you released a child on bail, you would send the child home with dry rations and a sum of rupees 1,500 rupees in cash. This direction we issued. Why? Because we thought at the relevant point in time, most of the household didn't have enough food and money available with them to feed another mouth who would sort of join them back in their house. This also removed the reluctance of parents not to accept children and have them continue in the home despite a bail order being passed. But unfortunately, and this is what brings up the issue at a national scale, unfortunately, what has happened is that the government has interpreted this order as something which should, according to them, and where they are wrong and we've tried to correct it, subsisted only during the time where there was a complete lockdown. The interpretation is that since the lockdown has been lifted, they need not continue with this. So one of the things that I would most humbly put before Justice Bhatt is that since the Supreme Court is dealing with these issues on the judicial side, it would help hugely if this was introduced as a direction, and it would then, in a sense, propel the governments across the country to provide this succor to children once they're released on bail, till such time at least when till such time the coronavirus epidemic continues. The other highlight of my the initiatives that we have done is, of course, that's been going on for a period of time, is that we have a mental health sort of initiative, and we have enrolled two professional agencies, I'm happy to report, which is Manas Foundation and Expressions India. They work in collaboration with the Department of Women and Child in Delhi, and they provide the necessary wherewithal in terms of counselors, which then help in assessing the mental health of children. Combined with this, as I was just a moment ago expressing my views about what hurts families and children, is the Anganwadi scheme, which I'm told at present in Delhi has 5 lakh families registered. The scheme works in a fashion where dry rations are delivered at home. The flaw in the scheme is this, and this again, I think, is a question that we need to address to the Secretary Government of India, is that it applies only to children in the age group of 0 to 6 and adolescent girl children. I would request Mr. Mishra to relax the rigor of the scheme so that once again, during the coronavirus period, we can extend this to every family which has a child below the year, child in the age group of 0 to 18 in their house. Now, as I said, insofar as our presentation is concerned, insofar as numbers are concerned, between this period, if you look at my first slide, between 23rd March and 2020, we have restored 2,965 children to their families, out of which 240 children were restored to families in other states. I spoke about the Sultanpuri area, which is there in the second slide. I don't need to read this. And if you see the third slide, we have also spoken about the dry rations that we gave to the child, and the sum of rupees 1,500, which were handed to the children when they were released on bail. This, as I said, was a benefit which was awarded to about 166 children. And as I said, this needs to be extended further. About the mental health counselors, I've already indicated. Insofar as this Anganwadi centers are concerned, I've spoken about it. 5 lakh families are registered, but we need to do more, which DWCD says they can't do because of the rigor of the scheme. Insofar as education is concerned, this is something that, again, uh, uh, while we are providing facilities, if you would see the slide, to um, CCIs, or CCIs are providing these facilities to children with them uh, by giving them online classes. The Delhi government is giving them worksheets which need to be uh, worked on by children in CCI homes. We have also a provision that once the child leaves the CCI home, he gets immediately admitted to the school, or he gets transferred to the school where he was uh, originally studying. So classes are being conducted uh, through mobile phones, which according to me is not a very happy situation, but that's the best they have been able to do, because the number of laptops and desktops are not enough. There has been provision of non-formal educational kits, learning material. There have been uh, videos which have been downloaded, which are for the consumption of children, which are motivational videos. There are today in place 215 computers and webcams available for providing education. The challenges post restoration are really with regard to use of technology uh, for online education. There is lack of adequate and proper equipment, and there is the problem of, as I said, uh, prevention. The point is that most of these children are leaving their homes, either they are trafficked or they are put into child labor because of lack of basic necessities at home. We also have challenges in the form of skill development and employability of these children. So, what is the way forward? The suggestions that I have is that we need better coordination between stakeholders and accountability of roles for DCPUs, CWCs, JGBs, superintendents, counselors, etc. We need to have SOPs. It needs to be followed by each of these agencies. We need better coordination amongst state commissions for protection of child and in with state bhavans in various states. You need to use Aadhaar cards for tracing families. You need trauma counseling of children and their families. And of course, post restoration assessment. And as well, to have district magistrates regularly monitor enrollment of families. The bail process also needs to be expedited. Now, as far as Delhi is concerned, we have a healthy number. We have released about 896 children during this period, i.e., between March of 2020 up until the month of middle of November. You need, but what we do need is to sustain this is supervision by probation officers, and of course, as I said earlier, mental health counseling. To add to this, these are suggestions that I wish to place before the House and Justice, but I like to consider them. Is should we not have uniform standards for homes and children, which of course can be tweaked to local conditions? I have often wondered as to why a child who's in a home, say in Kerala, and the child who's in a home in Delhi is, in a sense, does not get benefits, the same benefits, which a child who's living in a better provided state. So therefore, there is a need, and this is something that the central government could help us with, to have minimum standards for homes and children. Some may argue that those minimum standards are provided in the Act and the rules, to which my humble suggestion is that those are far too, they are actually not applied. But what is practically applied, we need to gather that and have a kind of a bench book, which if the Supreme Court could make it part of its order, it could then percolate down to the JJCs and through that the DWCDs. The other aspect on which I have a suggestion, something that I have been at least articulating in various such forums, is a more robust application of the CSR. I heard Justice Bela Trivedi telling me that they have a PPP. Now, a PPP is a good concept, maybe a variant of CCR. But what I would like to suggest to the House is that if funding could come through the government specifically for homes and for the benefit of children, it would be better, because the idea is not to let the government not do its bit. The idea is to provide for funds. Now, when you have a PPP, in a sense, the government takes a step back and sort of, it's the private entity which then ensures that the benefits are delivered to the children. But if we have a CSR model where the money comes in through the government for specific use for the homes, in my view, would help greatly. And and therefore, my point about say setting up de-addiction centers, we know that drugs is a problem which is spreading all over the country. We don't have enough funds to set up de-addiction centers, and therefore we are always several steps back. The other point that I think needs to be highlighted, that most of the states now have a MIS system. Should we not have an architecture where it dovetails into a central MIS, where the center knows as to where, which state lacks resources or is falling back, and therefore corrective measures are taken at the earliest. I don't know whether Mr. Mishra would like to look at it. If he can set up something like this, it would, in my view, help largely in solving various problems and also flagging quickly as to what each state needs to help children who are under their care and protection. The other point, of course, did come up, which is the continuum of the officers in the various women and child departments. Now, I know it's an administrative issue where each government does take a call, but I don't know whether this can be done, but a gentle word in a judicial order by the Supreme Court, where they perhaps suggest that officers who are deputed to these departments have a sufficiently long tenure so that they can run a particular program and see it through. These are some of the suggestions that I had for the consumption of the House. I have a short interview, Justice Bhatt, which dovetails into all this. Do we have time for that? Of a lady constable called Seema Dhaka, who rescued about 2 minutes, Dr. Justice Bhatt. Huh? The reason that I want to share this video with the House is this shows what incentivization can do. This is a constable in the Delhi police. The Delhi police had set a target for restoration, which was about 56 children. She overshot that target and she rescued more than the number that she was assigned, because of which she was promoted. Now, when she was interviewed, she said that the 76 children that she interviewed, all of them had a different story to tell her. So the takeaway was that there is no one size that fits all. Secondly, we need to introduce some kind of incentives both for our officers who run the homes and perhaps even the officers who are running these departments. But it is surely the officers who run the home. So this is in Hindi, so some of you who are not familiar with Hindi will excuse me. There are some subtitles, but not enough. Yeah. You are not getting the sound?
Not
Okay,
no.
just 1 second. 1 second, please. Yes. Sure. This is what, are you getting the sound? This is what, are you getting the sound? Actually. स्टोरी बढ़ा दे टूटना शुरू किया शायद
It's not very clear. I think Justice Shakdar, there's some problem.
Okay, we'll stop sharing it. I will share it otherwise. Okay?
I think you can share it otherwise. You can send it across. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay, the gist was what I told you, that she said that there are she rescued 76 children and they all had different stories. But the important point is that incentive did the trick. So I think we need to incentivize officers, both in homes and those who are involved with this. That's all. Thank you so much, sir, for your patience.
Thank you, Justice Shakdar. Thank you for your sharing your thoughts. And with that, I think we end this session. Now we are at the last leg, and we are already 1 hour behind schedule. So, but I would still not cut down the time because we would all be, I think we should hear Ms. Soledad Herrero, Chief Child Protection, UNICEF. Ms. Herrero, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Justice Ravindra Bhatt, and thanks also, of course, to all the honorable judges of the High Court of the GJCs in the different states, and of course, also special appreciation to Mr. Ram Mohan Misra, Secretary of the Ministry of Women and Child Development, for all of you having given us, as UNICEF, the opportunity to be in these 2 very productive days of discussions of things that really are at the core of the UNICEF mandate. We know that 2020 will be a year that we will all remember, and that has pushed millions of people and children on the brink. What started as a public health emergency crisis has actually developed into a full-blown socioeconomic, but also human rights crisis that has impacted the most vulnerable. As our Secretary General of the United Nations, Gutierrez, has said earlier, children might not be in the face of the crisis, but they are among its biggest victims. The engagement and the commitment shown by the Supreme Court and the High Courts in the protection of vulnerable children in India has become truly a global reference. And during this difficult year, once again, the Supreme Court has been able to contribute to enhance the protection of children by laying clear directions through orders that have contributed substantially in mitigating the impacts of COVID on children. And this is something, once again, that has been recognized by UNICEF globally as a gold practice that other countries could learn from. The mitigation of these impacts have also been possible, of course, thanks to the relentless work of the Ministry of Women and Child Development and the respective state departments. And I really want to make a special mentions, as others have done, to the commendable role that many of the frontline workers have had despite a wide range of challenges. Now, there's been 2 days of very, very productive discussions, so it's really difficult to try to come with some reflections and takeaways, but it's still, there's been, really a number of very pragmatic reflections, as well as recommendations on the way forward that I would like to reflect on with the permission of the members in the conference, and being conscious also of the constraint in times. And I will try to do this reflections structure in three blocks. First, to talk about the children in need of care and protection. Second, around the children in conflict with the law, and then a few cross-cutting issues that have emanated in the discussions. So let me just start with the agenda of the children in alternative care. I think all participants in the conference knows very, very well that the standards of international and national legislations are very clear. Institutionalization should be the measure of last resort. Moreover, last year, the General Assembly of the United Nations signed a resolution that clearly identifies the right of not only of care and protection, which we are all very aware of, but the right to live in a family environment. Well, what I would think is that in the middle of the COVID crisis, actually, there's been a great opportunity to enhance and expand the number of children that have been restored in the families. And actually, as a follow-up of the Supreme Court order, it is estimated, according to the data that the Supreme Court gathered, that around 64% of the children that were in institutions were restored back to the families. Again, this is a golden opportunity not to be missed, but also there were very valid reflections of some of the concerns and considerations that we need to take as a priority in order to ensure that that restoration is done in an adequately manner. First of all, there needs to be systems to follow up and to ensure that the integration follows an individual assessment of the situation of the children. Second, as Justice Bahad put it very well, we need to put an end to the revolving doors and address the root causes of family separation. This is absolutely critical to make sure that those families that children return to are supported and the schemes for financial support are expanded. Once again, the analysis of the information collected by the Supreme Court shows that while more than 60% of the children were followed up, only around 5% of them received sponsored and financial support. And then the third element, again, building on the right of family environment, is the necessity of building models even for the childcare institutions that increase the typology in which children can live off, that are more closer to a family environment, and also to expand the opportunities for foster care and kindship arrangements in the different states. And I would really want to suggest and encourage the different states present in this conference to really perhaps, for the next year, for the next few years, establish clear targets of what is the percentage, what is the increase of schemes for family-based settings, for alternative care that they want to prioritize and put in place. Now, let me move now to some reflections and recommendations, again, that have been discussed around children in conflict with the law. Again, as we know very well, according to the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the JJ Act, and other international standards, such as the Beijing Standards for Juvenile Justice, that were also reflected in the Assam and Maharashtra presentations. The main objective of the juvenile justice system should be the reintegration of the child into society. Other current considerations that are paramount are the age and maturity of the offender that should be considered in the process, and also, very important for the discussions that we've had in the last 2 days, that the imprisonment and detention should be the measure of last resort. Again, thanks to the Supreme Court orders, around 60% of the children have been released on bail. So I think it's been demonstrated that this is possible. However, also some of the presentations have indicated that there are some trends again that are reversing some of these gains of good practices that have been established in the aftermath of the COVID crisis and the Supreme Court orders. We need to realize that bail and diversion should be the priority pathway for those children offenders, and especially if there are petite offenses. And we know that many times children end up in observation homes because of minor crimes. To do this is very, very critical to put systems in place that are clear, to raise awareness, and also to engage the police and law enforcement agents, which, as we know, are the first port of entry of children when they enter in contact with the law. Now let me just move to the third block of my reflections and considerations for the recommendations of this conference. That again, build on a lot of reflections that have been made and that cuts across both the children in need of care and protection and also children in conflict with the law. Today, there's been great reflections around information management systems, and I don't think I need to emphasize a lot on the importance of it. The truth is that what is not measured, it doesn't exist, and it would be difficult for policymakers, for services, to be able to be effective in the provision of the response. I think there are two elements that needs to be considered when looking into information management systems. One is, as it was reflected in today's discussion, the importance of harmonization and convergence of the systems horizontally. That means across the different states. There are good practices in different states. We know that Bihar, for example, has invested and has a very, very robust information management system. And as the Bihar representatives mentioned, they've shared the learnings with other states as well. But there needs to be a convergence of all the systems nationally. The other element that needs to be looked at very carefully is how the different information management systems that deal with different issues that the children face are also integrated. So one single child is monitored through one system, or at least a set of systems that can talk to each other. Because if not, we will compartmentalize the information management systems that we deal with one single child. This was a very important topic of discussion of the last conference. There's been a number of good suggestions today. We're aware that the Ministry of Women and Child Development was setting up a task force as well on this regard. And we look forward to see how, from UNICEF side, we can support this important area of work. Second, many of you have highlighted the importance of mental health and psychosocial support, which is absolutely critical. Consider the silent pandemic of mental health issues that have emanated also from the COVID pandemic in the country. So we look forward to see practical ways in which the mental health and psychosocial support services can be expanded. Number three, there's been several recommendations made of the importance and the need to expand, to adjust, and to provide greater flexibility for the funds under family-based alternative care schemes under CPS, and also the need for investment in prevention, which is currently not budgeted in the CPS at the moment. I think there is also a need to take stock of the level of functionality of the Juvenile Justice Fund, which is referred to as a tool that has been extremely useful during the pandemic to meet some of the emergency needs of children. We're grateful and we are very much aware of the efforts that under the leadership of Mr. Misra, the Secretary of Women and Child Development, the ministry is conducted in this regard, and I'm sure that a lot of the recommendations that have emanated in the discussions will be also factored in the revision of the schemes that is ongoing. The fourth reflection, and I have only 3 more to go, is around the human capacity. And again, there's been a very strong recommendation around the area of the professionalization of social services, including considering regularizing cadres as opposed to having contractual positions, the critical importance of monitoring vacancies, and also the critical need of setting up the structures at the sub-district, village, panchayat level that can be effective in the identification of child protection issues, and also the work of prevention that is so important. Since yesterday, and already in the opening remarks, Justice Bahad also raised the issues of how the digital divide in education has led to children in need of care protection, children in institutions, being facing challenges to access in education services. Unless decisive efforts are done, considering the conditions of vulnerability of these children, there are very high chances that a large proportion of these children might drop out of the school, which, as we know, means a perpetuation of a cycle of marginalization and poverty. And the last sort of recommendation or uh, area of reflection that I want to put forward based on the conversations that held in the last 2 days is about the importance of looking into interstate as well as country coordination mechanisms for repatriation and restoration of capacity building. A lot of things have been put forward, so I will not repeat that, but I do want to emphasize that, especially from the international perspective, no migrant children should be separated from their families or detained because of their migration status. And active efforts for family tracing and reunification should be done. And of course, once again, UNICEF is on standby in case any support in this area can be provided from our end, both from the perspective of review of standard operating procedures as well as capacity building efforts. Just to conclude, I will emphasize again, as others have made, that to achieve all these suggestions and all these objectives, a concerted, multi-sectorial and multi-departmental action is required. And it's going to be extremely critical that we really put an emphasis on translating this dialogue and discussions into actionable priority actions that can lead to specific changes for children such as Daval, Ahesh and Amuskan, the children that shared their testimonies today in the morning video, as well as all other children that are in need of care and protection in India. UNICEF remains very much on standby to support all these commitments and all these priorities that might emanate of this conference. And we very much look forward to continue working with all of you in all the different states in whatever way, shape, or form we can be useful. Thank you again, and over to Justice Fahad. Thanks.
Thank you, thank you, Ms. Herrero. I have to make the concluding remarks. I'll try to be brief. Sister and brother judges, including chairpersons and members of various high courts, the Union Secretary for Women and Child Development, Ms. Soledad Herrero, Chief Child Protection UNICEF, Additional Chief Secretary of Gujarat, Secretaries and Directors of Women and Child Development Departments of various states and union territories. As we end this session, there are several takeaways for us, judges, policymakers, practitioners, and non-governmental organizations. The commonest challenges, pan-India, were the problems faced with the outbreak of the pandemic, concerns regarding health and safety of the children in care institutions of every kind, their basic needs, and on the other hand, problems faced by carers who were tasked with providing constant support to the children. With the relentless progress of the pandemic and new sets of challenges due to lockdowns, movement restrictions, and logistical problems, the focus was on how to deinstitutionalize children, and wherever it was not possible, to ensure their health and safety, and also provide them education and other related essential services. Tied to these arose the challenges arising from online education, problems of mental stress, lack of sufficient electronic or digital infrastructure, and so on. At an administrative level, slowing down of restoration processes, slackening monitoring mechanisms, lack of coordination, and so on were other challenges. Apart from realizing that certain problems are common, we have also come to realize that solutions to these concerns may or may not be common. Individual states and institutions have developed methods unique to them, having regard to local factors and available resources. It is our duty to capture and document these unique individual responses and determine which among these can be suggested as best practices. For me personally, innovative schemes such as the single window resource, the Makkala Grama Sabha, which is the Children's Gram Sabha, the Childline of Karnataka, the universal sponsorship like Palanhar scheme of Rajasthan, and Gujarat's Palak Mata Pita scheme, some PPP schemes, the community foster care, vacation foster care ideas of Kerala, the helplines developed in Karnataka and Madhya Pradesh, the psycho and social counseling training for deployment of such professionals, group and family counseling of Madhya Pradesh, the dance music therapy and community-based mental support, health support of West Bengal, and the innovative conditions weaved into bails given to juvenile by the Maharashtra through the Bombay High Court are worth examining for their effectiveness and wider acceptance. I entirely agree with Justice Koteshwar Singh that the recent pandemic has highlighted the need to designate childcare services as essential services. We also have to develop a universal protocol to deal with pandemic and other pandemic-like emergencies such as disruptions due to climate or climate change or social upheavals, riots, etc. The near universal lament has been a lack of funding by governments. I take this opportunity to appeal to all governments, whether they are the state governments or the central government, to treat departments and schemes of the Child and Women Development Ministry as of preeminent importance. This, along with education and rural development, in my opinion, constitutes the human face of the state in its constitutional obligation to ensure equality of opportunity to all and justice to all. It is heartening to note that two foremost priorities which all states appear to have marked was the continuing effort to restore children and the effort to deinstitutionalize them. Parallelly, in several states, growing marginalization meant that children were sought to be institutionalized due to impoverishment of the parents. The latter is a human condition which requires a balanced approach. While institutionalization is to be avoided, yet pushing away children may result in a bleak future to them, such as bonded labor or trafficking, and that has to be evaluated while making a response to be avoided at all costs. Such stark consequences are to be avoided because the welfare, care, and well being of all children remains our continued mandate. Post COVID, ensuring access to meaningful education, resources, health and hygiene services, basic security and rehabilitation will always remain of prime focus to those engaged in childcare services. The pandemic has been the greatest, longest, and the least foreseen disruptor this world has experienced in recent times. Yet for all of us, it was important to hit the ground running as soon as we could. Most of us perhaps did it despite the formidable challenges. There are several learnings from this. One, development of a universal protocol to deal with future disruptions of various kinds. Two, ensuring effective and swift coordination of efforts to assure that all services are provided. Three, development of IT platforms at different levels for education, not merely to cater to disruptive situations, but also as a way forward in ensuring universal education and bridging gaps in learnings. Three, taking steps in ensuring that caregivers are provided laptops and devices to enable them to access and log in so that they can work remotely. Likewise, wherever physical supervision is not possible, ensure that CWSs are enabled to function remotely through remote access and provide laptops as well as monthly data and telephone subscriptions. Monitoring these is one of the last important things through digital platforms, as Ms. Herrero emphasized, is to creation of these platforms on a daily basis can also be thought of and evolved. Each care institution can be inspected remotely through handheld devices in some essential parameters such as cleanliness, hygiene, security, provision of basic amenities, education, supplies, etc. The idea of assessing the efficacy of care institutions in every state through a comprehensive audit, maybe on a sample basis, is also something worth working upon. The central government is requested to examine and work on this so that these institutions and monitoring mechanisms are made efficient and effective. Incentivization of these by way of awards to the state, care workers, institutions, etc., can go a long way in streamlining the services of these care services. The other issue is to strengthen mental health initiatives. The MP model of deploying NIMHANS trained counselors needs to be replicated after examination at a national level. The center, in coordination with the concerned Department of Health, should ensure training programs which can be offered regularly, and such counselors' services should be ensured. Online platforms can be effective and time efficient in aiding restoration processes as well as monitoring follow-up. I would urge all the JJCs to convene at frequent periodic intervals, maybe 4 weeks, to take stock and monitor progress and to address challenges as well as deficiencies. The COVID pandemic has broken our mental barriers about use of technology. The least we can do is to bring all stakeholders together in such meetings as a regular feature post-COVID-19. This becomes very crucial, especially in large states where the logistics of physical attendance of all stakeholders is daunting and limiting. Tamil Nadu has reminded us that in some states, the number of CCIs can be very large and predominant initiative has been non-governmental. An idea that was mooted was a CSR funding by Justice Shagdar. I would take one step beyond that and moot the idea of ensuring that such CSR funds through tax exemptions are routed and funneled through tax exemptions where the corporate donor benefits substantially through deductions and not merely the kind of Section 80G benefit, but in line with specific investments towards engineering or other plant investments in Section 35 akin to Section 35 of the Income Tax Act. Our collective commitment is and always remain to restore childhood to those deprived it, to provide the benefits and fruits of a full citizenship of this country, which all of us are assured, but is a distant dream for those in these institutions, for her mental, physical, material, and spiritual development. Children under our care have a right to our efforts, our time, and our attention to the same or even perhaps to a greater extent than our own. We have to always be conscious that such children belong to all, should not mean that they belong to none. Each child restored to her life or given a new window of opportunity is a gain to all of us. Thinking about children in need of care in any form is not about someone doing everything, but everyone doing something for them. Thank you. And thank you for attending very patiently on this weekend, especially when we have run out of time and we have gone way ahead of beyond schedule on Sunday. Thank you very much, all participants.